Welcome back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler here with Johnny. Johnny, what's going on?
Not much, Tyler. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Do you want to, I guess, to get it out of your system, do you want to tell everyone the hottest news of last week by the time they're listening to this?
I don't. Tyler, the Lakers just traded Anthony Davis and our defense was getting so good finally.
No, the Lakers got Luka Doncic.
I don't
Everyone
care.
thinks was the better player in the deal, so no one cares that you're losing Anthony Davis.
Basketball's a game of symmetry and of positional aptitude. Okay, we have someone doing fine in the point guard position right now. Luka doesn't play any defense. LeBron is too old to play defense. Anthony Davis is the number one defensive center in the league. He constantly gets robbed for Defensive Player of the Year. It's ridiculous. And we just got Dorian Finney-Smith, and we got Vando back, and our defense has been a top 5 defense for the last 20 games. And Max Christie, who is also a part of that trade, has just been developing and becoming a very good young defensive prospect. And we just traded both of them. These are 2 starters. We just traded 2 starters for a point guard, which we probably need a point guard, but now we need...
You doing okay? Is basketball...
No.
Is this going to ruin your parlays? Are you a big sports bettor and now you can't...
No, God, no, of course not. I don't bet on sports. Shit was just coming together. It's the second half of the season. We're about to hit All-Star break. Stuff was coming together. I didn't think we were going to win, but I thought we had a nice chance. And now this is kind of our coach is a little bit hard-nosed about getting all the plays. And I don't know how good Luka is at following a script of strict play calling, and it's going to be, there's levels to this. Is it on rate? Would you be oh my God, I can't believe we got Luka. Yeah, probably. But as far as the composition of the team right now, and we don't have a real center. Yeah, we got a guy who used to be our center and should be retired and out of the league. So it doesn't really count back in this deal. It's just we have no center depth at all. And it's just going to be, the rest of the season's going to be a nightmare. I don't, literally this trade just happened as we were prepping and it's completely derailed all of my trains of thoughts. I'm, I don't like to bring up divisive things on the podcast like being a Lakers fan, but yeah, I am. And this is not welcome news to me. No.
It's exciting.
No.
You get to see some weird stuff happen. Isn't this exciting? When you're into sports, doesn't the same thing happen every day? And
No, this is building consistency. We're consistently getting better, becoming a good team, moving forward. And now it's just all that is blown up and out. Oh man. Now what does that do to the locker room? It's just, and we have to be, we're just pieces away now. This is terrible.
Also, Johnny, you're a Lakers fan, but you're constantly the one that's trying to tell me LeBron's not the GOAT, right?
No, I didn't say that. But it's still Jordan. And I don't even know if that's true because I always tell you that you shouldn't really compare eras because it's kind of ridiculous. The game has changed so much. The athletes have changed so much. It's impossible to come in and say that the schemes, the rules have changed. The idea that there's going to be Jordan would be scoring 60 in this era. It's Jordan never faced double teams. And yeah, sure, he got through hand checking. But if you look at a lot of what Jordan was doing is just all by himself. And it was a mid-range game. And yeah, just too many things have changed. People don't value the consistency of LeBron. People really hate LeBron James, and I don't really get on with that. He's, been a more than fine, great player his whole career, and he's one of the few athletes who have ever lived up to the kind of wild hype that has been behind them. And, he's never in the headlines for being an idiot. yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of divisive hate about LeBron James. And now he's going to go play with Luka, and we'll see how that is or how he even reacts to this trade, because apparently this just came out of the blue for everybody. And yeah, like, I don't know what the hell this means. So everything is in turmoil. I don't know what the rest of the season looks like.
He's going to get another ring. We're good.
No, that's not how this works. Our team just became fundamentally worse. Like, there's just things you need, okay? And Luka doesn't play any defense, and he always comes in a little fat for a basketball player. The best meme I've ever seen about Luka, and if you do you know who James Corden is?
Is he the comedian?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Late night host. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, sure.
I don't. A guy who does like carpool karaoke was like this guy. Had like the late night show for a little while. I don't know if he still does. I always found him a little bit unpleasant. Anyways, he looks vaguely like Luka, and they're like, people will just always post memes and they're like, man, Luka's really letting himself go. And it's a picture of James Corden in like a jersey. And like, they always change it to a Mavericks ones, but he was wearing like a Lakers one. And so now they just don't even have to edit the picture anymore.
Well, now he's your guy. You got to push back on that. That's how sports work. Now your opinion has to change on him because he's on your team.
No, it was like when we had Shaq. Shaq used to come in fat and out of shape all the time. It was infuriating.
But he was Shaq.
Yeah, he was Shaq, and that's,
he needed that mass. I don't know anything about that.
No, he didn't need the mass. He didn't need all the extra mass. His knees didn't need, like, he just came in not in basketball shape at all. So no one was asking Shaq to try and shrink and become a small man, just like come in and be able to run up and down the court 3 or 4 times. So, like, I don't know. Again, different time. All right, I'm done talking about basketball. I just, like, maybe it works out, but I'm feeling very skeptical about this trade. People are going to be like, the Lakers won this trade. And it's like, yeah, maybe long-term they won this trade. But right now for this season, that was starting to look shiny and hopeful and had some good things going on. Now it doesn't look like it. And I'm really concerned about the fit with JJ Redick as our coach. It's going to be a thing. Now that we've lost all of our viewers. Hey, Tyler.
Hey, Johnny, what are we talking about this episode? What's going on?
Well, we're going to talk about dilemmas. Like, when do you trade your 31-year-old defensive all-star center for, a young player who also has an injury history? And then also you're going to put this guy who probably likes to party a little bit in like Los Angeles. But I mean, I guess Dallas is a big party city too, so who knows? But not like Los Angeles, so we'll see if that affects him. I'm concerned about all of these things.
You want to talk about video games? What's Luka's rookie game? You should run out and get it now. Got like a 2K game where he's on the cover. You could probably get it graded pretty cheap, Johnny. This is a good dilemma whether you should get a graded NBA 2K game.
Yeah.
Johnny, we're going to be talking about this or that questions. Like,
oh, okay.
Should you get the best version of a game or the most collectible version of a game? Stuff like that.
Okay, that sounds good. I wanted to bring something up. This is one, and this is like, well, here that works right into this dilemma, Tyler.
Excellent.
Actually, so we can go in with the softball. So, are you familiar with Disney's Sing It?
I am familiar with Disney's Sing It. I don't remember if it's on Wii U, but is it on Wii?
It is on Wii, yeah. Do you know there's a lot of these games?
Only because you bring it up.
Well, they're like, you got a lot of famous people on the covers, right? You got like all the High School Musical people. You got like Miley Cyrus, Ariana Grande. I think maybe not Ariana Grande, but Selena Gomez. What's the dude?
The Jonas Brothers.
High School Musical. The Jonas Brothers, but what's the other guy?
I don't know the High School Musical guy. I'm sorry.
No, he was also he's like a movie star. Zac Efron. There we go.
All right.
So, anyways, this is like a pretty it was like a multi-game franchise, at least on the Wii.
5 games.
And PS2 and PS3, So there's a game, and it is called Disney Sing It Pop Hits. This game has multiple variants. The first print, though, has Taylor Swift. I believe it's the first Taylor Swift cover. Are you interested in that?
Whoa!
Okay.
Sound the alarms.
Yeah.
Billionaire media franchise Taylor Swift, the first print or first cover appearance, Disney Sing It Pop Hits.
Yeah. So there's a big box version of this game, which includes a microphone. There's a weird Logitech version of the game, which includes a microphone as well, but it's like in a Logitech box and has, I guess, a better microphone in it. Then there's one where they add a badge, because this brings up two dilemmas that I want. That where the game suddenly has more content in it. They added songs to it. I know people are like, what are you getting at? I'm adding a lot of context. So, there's also a low print variant. It's the last variant of the game. We'll call it the third print of the game. Even though, that's pretty nebulous. They removed T Swift from the cover, Tyler. She's not there anymore. It's a cover variation.
Great.
And I looked through 700 covers or 700 auctions of this game, and it appears about 3 times out of 700 active auctions. There was only 3 I found with the variant cover.
All right, I feel like. All right, well, you keep going. Sure. Are you going to ask me which one you should get?
Yeah. Yes. So the dilemma, it is like a multifold dilemma. Should you buy the first print of it, or should you buy the rarer variant?
For Disney Sing It Pop Hits for the Nintendo Wii?
No. Forget about that. Forget about that portion of it. Just in general, do you think the first print of it or the rarer variant is the more interesting one to get?
No, I think the fact that it's Disney Sing It Pop Hits for the Nintendo Wii is very relevant, because when people go into Super Mario Brothers, that's a bad example because the first prints are rare. Whatever, Castlevania, it could be that the later prints with the oval seal of quality are rarer. I know they're not as rare as this Sing It variant, but I don't care in that case, because Castlevania is an important, really, really good game, and I want the first print, and the first print even has something special about it. It's a hang tab. But if it's complete set filler like Disney Sing It, if you just check this off the box with your, regular, there's 400 copies on eBay version, then that's not special having the first print of that at all. But if you get the 3 in 400, Taylor Swift's not on the box, not only is this set filler, but then you have a little piece of trivia going on about it. And when you're digging through your boxes of Nintendo Wii garbage in 15 years, because you're like, what am I doing with all these boxes of Nintendo Wii games? You're going to pick up that copy of Disney Sing It Pop Hits and be like, oh, this is the variant cover without Taylor Swift. That's pretty cool. As opposed to just looking at it and throwing it straight into the garbage.
Okay. But do you think that Taylor Swift is Swifties are out there and they're their own version of collectors. Do you think that might be more desirable?
No, because the crossover with video game collectors is actually 0.
Yeah. And also the print run of this game is incredibly high and they're all over the place. Now, the second part of this dilemma, I do want you to go back and answer this question in a way that removes Disney Sing It. I guess you kind of did that. But the other part of this dilemma, how do you feel about a game like this that advertises that they have added more content into it? The same title, everything. They're just we added 10 songs into this. This is no longer, there's not a way to download this. It's just boom, this is now a different game. It has more in it.
I don't think it's a different game. I think it's the same game with more stuff in it.
How is that not a different thing? There's if I put a different level in a game, would you be like, what happened?
It's the same game. You see, people like Joe try to scientifically determine what changes make up like something being a different game. You can find it, whatever rules you try to set. I promise you, hit me with your rules. Send me a message. Tell me what rules you think you could set to differentiate what is a variant, what is, some special little pre-order bonus versus what constitutes a completely different game. And I will find you a game that doesn't meet your rules where you would say like, okay, yeah, but those are the same game. Because there's so many software changes, title screen changes, title changes, cover changes, DLCs and Game of the Year editions that I would consider just the same game.
So stadium events is the same as,
in my opinion, yes. In my opinion, yes. I'll just say yes. We don't need to go into that debate. In my opinion, it's more of an I know it when I see it. If two games are fundamentally like the same game, with just some extra levels and stuff, I don't try to like scientifically determine, has the code on the disc actually changed in the slightest? I just consider them the same game. Otherwise, you'll get things like bug fix releases where you'll consider a bug fix a completely different game. That's ridiculous.
Well, bug fix is a little bit different. So you're playing a level and you just can't complete the level, or it completely crashes the game or something, versus a game that has just a suddenly new level.
All right, what about what is it? It's like a Bubble Bobble game on the DS, or is it Bubble Bobble Revolution? Like you can't beat that game?
The -1 variant, yeah.
So technically the -1 variant has more levels because you can't access those levels on the original print of the game. So is that a different game?
But they were in the code, though. That's just a bug in the game.
Oh, they were in the code, but you can't access them. Oh, we're going to count levels that were removed? So Grand Theft Auto San Andreas Hot Coffee is a different game because they removed the sex minigame, even though you couldn't access it?
That's a bug. One was a bug. Hot Coffee is a different story. I mean, you can tell me how you feel about Hot Coffee.
How do you know it was a bug?
It's all the same.
Well, we're gonna try to determine developer intent now? How do we know the developers didn't intend to ship a broken game with Bubble Bobble Revolution?
Okay. We know it was a bug because they went, oh my God, and then they had to fix it. They sent out
That's our opinion, man. Maybe they decided to release it as bonus content.
Just like the wrestling game on the N64, where they're like, oh shit, we broke this game. Sorry, here's a new one.
Yeah, but maybe they intended to do that to get press. We can't determine their intent.
I mean...
We can infer it, but I don't think we could... that's not objective.
Tyler, you're being ridiculous.
That's why this is always a subjective call.
Yeah. Okay. So, what about Game of the Year editions?
I just want the first prints. If I'm collecting something, like 99.5% chance I'm never going to put it in a console, so just give me the first print. If I'm buying the game to actually play it right now, I will obviously get the one that has all the content in it. Almost never is that the case when I'm buying a game for my collection. So I just don't want it.
So in this scenario, you're set collecting, Tyler. You got Batman Arkham Asylum, and then Batman Arkham Asylum Game of the Year edition with a bunch of DLC they dropped onto it. Same game?
Yeah, they're the same game.
So Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Ultimate, same game?
I don't know what Mario Kart 8 Ultimate is.
That's the version that's available on the Switch.
I thought that was Deluxe.
With all the Deluxe or whatever
it's called. Yeah, I mean, those are the same game. They just happen to be on different consoles.
I mean, one of them has like 4 cups and the other has like 16 or whatever it is now.
And they changed like the entire battle mode, right?
Yeah, they just added 4x the amount of stuff in it. The game is 4 times bigger.
Yeah, wow. Wait until you hear about World of Warcraft and how that's the same game as the game that was released in 2005.
Okay, is it? Because, they sell those. Back in the day, they sold expansions as standalone titles. You needed the base game, but those were they're not standalone, but you needed to buy the expansion pack. Yeah, and that was a game that you had to like check off.
I mean, MMOs are kind of the craziest, most exceptional genre here, where a game can evolve over the course of 20 years into something completely different than it used to be. But even WoW Vanilla is not at all the same thing it was in 2005.
No.
But it's the same game. You would,
So
if you were tracking the most popular MMOs over time, you would just count that as World of Warcraft. You wouldn't have a delineation where it suddenly becomes, now World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King as enough of a different, and we're just going to count that as an entirely different MMO now.
I totally would have that as a separate title on my checkbox.
But once Wrath of the Lich King comes out, no one's playing regular World of Warcraft anymore, right? I don't know how the servers worked.
I mean, yeah, you still did. You could still start. You could still pick your starting realm and, start from that part. Without
getting too much into the nuance, though, like, if I didn't buy Wrath of the Lich King, I would technically be playing on the same server as you. I just wouldn't have access to the Wrath of the Lich King stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I immersed myself in the world of MMOs because, those are deep waters and dangerous.
Either way, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just Mario Kart 8 plus, 12 World of Warcraft expansions.
Okay, so Super Mario Brothers in Japan and Super Mario Brothers 2, same game?
No. What? They have different levels. There is a sequel. What are you talking about?
Different levels? Whoa. But it's
got
the
different
same
mechanics.
They didn't change,
it's got poison mushrooms.
They didn't change anything. They just added more levels. It's a level pack.
It's a different game. What? They
What
didn't
makes
call
it
it
different?
Super Mario Brothers. Some more levels in a level pack. If it was released via a download online service,
didn't exist. If it would have been released in modern days, it wouldn't have got its own game. It would have just been DLC.
I mean, New Super Luigi U. I mean, it's basically the new Super Luigi U. That literally happened, right? And it wasn't released as its own game.
No, because Luigi fundamentally changed. This is just the Mario game with the same stuff. What
it has a lot. It has a lot of new stuff.
Like what?
Like poison mushrooms and shitty level design.
Are poison mushrooms in when you flip the world in original Super Mario? When you get into the, you get the whole thing with like the bullet bills change and everything, and like the Beetle Bailey change, like a bunch of shit changes.
Johnny, they're different games. I think everyone will agree with me.
I mean, it's got all the same. It's used the exact same code. It's like nothing different. They just rearranged the levels a little bit, added some new stuff. But
wait till I tell you about sports games.
Well, this is why I'm asking you to be specific. Like when do we meet your criteria?
There's no objective measure. You could just tell. Oh, this is a different game.
Different. If I was just hearing it, would I know it was a different game?
What do you mean if you were just hearing it?
If I was just hearing it. If the controls are exactly the same and how it sounds is exactly the same and the code used to develop the game is exactly the same, then what makes it different?
Well, when you look at the title screen, there's a 2 at the end. That's a pretty clear...
So like when I bought Wrath of the Lich King and there was a different title screen.
That's an expansion pack, though. You didn't buy that as a standalone game.
But it's basically built off the same engine and everything, right?
Yeah, it is.
But
I don't even... What are you trying to even get at? What is the collecting dilemma here?
I would like, which one do you buy and do you count it? So going back to this game, it was like, okay, they added a bunch more content in here. If they added 20% more game, is this now a different game? It's not fundamentally the same.
It's the same game. And I only want the one that came out first that doesn't have that content. If I was going to play Arkham Asylum this year, first of all, if I'm playing it this year with like the backlog that all of us have, what are the chances that you're going to play through whatever's in Arkham Asylum Game of the Year edition. A lot of people, when they're playing stuff in their backlog, they're just like grinding through it to check the box. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I do this with some games. I see people on the video game stage backlog thread where there's clearly just some games where they're just like, you know what? It's a game, I enjoy it, but also I'm just playing this to get to the fucking credits already. And so a lot of games that you're just checking off your backlog, you don't care about the extra content because that's just more bullshit you don't really want to deal with. So you just get the regular game. Also, you're not going to play 99% of the games you buy, so why it doesn't matter that you have more stuff.
Back to Disney Sing It, though. And the Mario thing. You said because nothing else really changed. But the title screen changed, so that's how we know it's a different game. So title screen changes make it a different game.
No,
Stadium
these are the kind of criteria
that
I tried to set. I tried to say, like, oh, if the title changes, if the title screen changes, if the code changes, you could find exceptions to every single thing where it's like, oh, yeah, but that's really the same game.
Oh, okay. So, like, Disney's Sing It Family Hits is probably the same, or Disney's just Sing It is probably the same as Pop Hits, right? The same game?
It's not the same game.
That just has different songs.
Yes, it has different songs.
So if I just took all of the songs from that one and put them on the other game, would it be a different game or the same game?
I don't know, because that didn't happen.
I'm sure.
See, that would be interesting. So if they released Disney Pop Hits and then they released it again and every single song had changed, but it's the same game, just every single thing about it is different. Like, now we're talking. This is the kind of subjective call where it's like, all right, I mean, it does kind of feel like you need both at that point. The hard part is determining where along the line, like Theseus's ship, does it become a new game? If they change out half the songs, I don't think it's a new game. If they change out 3/4 of the songs, I don't think it's a new game. They change out 90% of the songs, like, I'm starting to think, like, is this kind of a new game?
I'm glad you got to Theseus's ship because that's exactly what I was going for. So thank you. Thank you for arriving there.
We've arrived.
For listeners that don't know what that is, so it's the idea that if you have a ship and then you keep repairing it and like you've stripped every part of it off because you've had to remake this thing, when does Theseus's ship become a new ship? Because the original parts, if every original part of the ship was gone, is this now a new ship?
One of my favorite thought experiments or paradoxes, I don't know what it is, but continually relevant. I love it very much. Yeah. Whoever thought of that like 2,000 years ago, good on you. Probably Theseus or someone who was thinking about Theseus.
Was it?
Theseus turns out not a real person. He's a divine hero in Greek mythology, so it must have been someone else.
Anyways, what kind of dilemmas do you have?
All right, I'll move on to the next one. By the way, when we're talking about like that extra content stuff, I think you should only get it if you really care about the game. So on Xbox, when I got Morrowind, I of course also want Morrowind Game of the Year edition because it's one of my favorite games ever. But there are so many other Game of the Year editions. Like I would not get both the regular and Game of the Year edition for every single game, let alone when you get onto like Xbox 360 and PS3, where every single game, every like major AAA game starts having a Game of the Year edition, even though they didn't all win Game of the Year, because there should be only one Game of the Year, right? It's the Game of the Year, not the Games of the Year. But yeah, I'm not going to, why am I going to start buying every game twice, let alone like when they have a Game of the Year edition, it's like the most common, dirt common game. Like those are the opposite of the games I need to buy twice anyway. All right, Johnny, this is along the same lines. And this is the example I gave before. But so original releases versus remasters, because the remastered one is better. This is kind of the same idea as having more content. Johnny, original releases versus remasters. So this is something that every Switch collector has fallen on the side of the remaster or the re-release, either because they want all their games on one console, because the Switch is the one console that has all the games, or they want to know that they have the best version of a game in their collection. I mean, I think this is largely the same as getting more content, but maybe it's different having the best version of a game. Like, I don't know, maybe Demon Souls on PS5 is the definitive way to play Demon Souls. It's an exclusive. It's not on PC, despite other PlayStation games coming to PC. So Demon Souls on PS5 is the one that should be in your collection.
Hmm. No, I are we talking for playing or just collecting?
Yeah, I mean, that's the point, right? But yeah, for collecting, I just want the original Demon Souls.
Yeah. But I'm not going to fault someone for... Okay, so a little interesting. Again, as we're collectors focused, it's, like, just go buy the original and don't burden yourself with these things. If you want to play it, though, there is something to be said about experiencing how the original game and, like, what that felt like and on the original systems on, like, original controllers and seeing how that felt versus, going and getting the nice shiny version. I mean, for playability's sake, just like use Demon Souls, but there's games older than that where it's just like television standards have changed and anything. Like, now you can just play it beautifully and easily on a PS5. Like, just, for playing it, just do that.
No, play the original. But I'm an old curmudgeon, so I understand I'm not going to win most people over there. But I think I could win people over into collecting originals. Especially if you're not fucking playing it, which you're not. Look at your backlog. Yes. You're not playing it. Get out of here. Come on.
Give up on your backlog. But for collecting purposes, 100%. Just go, like, so on our Discord, we had this whole conversation about Final Fantasy VII Remaster, which got brought up. And also, I was on the LJN podcast. You can go check that out where I insult its hosts and talk about Metroid Prime. Very nice of me. Anyways, also got a remaster. We talk about that a little bit. But with the Final Fantasy thing that we're talking about, it's like, oh, this PS5 one got re-released, but there's this version of it that's expensive because not that many came out. It was hard to get, and people had this real problem to get the PS5 copy, so now it's worth $100 or something, or whatever it was worth.
It wasn't like the first print of Final Fantasy VII Remastered was only sold through like the Square Enix store or something.
I don't know if that's even true or not. I don't know how that was
okay,
released.
But there is a rare early variant of Final Fantasy VII.
Yes. Remaster. I mean, but that's a first print of the PS5 version because the first print of the remaster is actually on PS4. But this remaster just had this limited print, so it's just like, the harder to get version of the game, but you can just now buy it for $40. People are like, oh no, this one's the good one. And not that our Discord was saying that. They were just presenting like what the changes were. But yeah, there are some people, you'll get them and they're like showing it off. They're like, this is, and we talked about this in our last episode, the modern collectibles one. They're like, this is the good one. This is the $100 one. Go get this one. It's like, no, guys, just get out of here. One, it's a remaster. Two, there was an earlier print of the remaster. Just like, whatever. Like, I guess if you really love this game and you're like really seeking that clout, sure. But like, if you want to impress me with your Final Fantasy VIIs, then like, just show me your original Final Fantasy VII.
This is a weird case where also the game that has remaster in the title, I would call it a different game. Like, I would be yelling like, just get Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation. That's the collectible one. But this is actually a different game. So I could see someone wanting a collectible version of this as well.
Yeah, but then still the original one, go get the PS4 one, right? You can play the PS4 one on the PS5.
I don't care where I can play it.
That's the first print.
I know where I could stick it in my shelf.
Yeah. But yeah. What we're saying, even collectible, right? You err towards the first print. Not this, like, if you're telling me I'm not going to go buy this weird non-Taylor Swift cover because who cares about this rare third print, then you got to feel the same way about the PS4 copy. And that the PS5 version is even worse because it's like one bar of text on the back is different for the first print.
Here's the problem.
Only the first print of the PS5 game. The original one was a PS4 release.
Here's the problem with buying the best version. Sorry for all you Switch collectors out here. The first thing is, if you bought all these Switch remasters and remakes, because they're all the best version of the game, one, if the game is also on PC, it's probably the best version's on the PC, and there's just not a physical version of it for you to own. But 2, if you're buying a remake or a remaster or a better port, an upgrade, something like that, when the Switch 2 comes out or the PlayStation 6, the way the game industry is going, they're gonna remake it again. And what's gonna happen when they remake Shadow of the Colossus for the 3rd time? The first and the second remakes of Shadow of the Colossus are now completely dead weight. You have the original, which will always be the original, and then you have the latest remaster, which will be the latest remaster until they fucking remaster it again. So,
yes, 100%. I'm glad you're bringing this up, because yes.
If you're looking at like CDs or records, they constantly do all these remastered versions of all these different albums. And like, what am I going to be like? Oh, the 1991 remaster of this Beatles album was actually, I think they had superior sound quality. Are you going to collect that one? No, you're going to go spend, $20,000 on the first print White Album. I don't know anything about the Beatles. Is that a real Beatles album?
Yeah. The White Album is a real album, but there are two lines of thought in record collecting. Yes, the first, like you want to get the UK first releases for the Beatles albums. Obviously, those are the most collectible ones for most of them. But there are collector premiums for a lot of records that have, because records are a very specific thing where the sound quality, how it was mastered and like engineered, and like what kind of, how it was pressed, and if it was, how many grams the record was.
Good. Who cares? Get an MP3.
Tyler, I'm telling you so you were informed that the sound quality of their certain versions, where the sound quality is known to be the best sound quality of the record, does usually command a premium, because people who collect records a lot of times listen to their records as well. So they do. Those ones will fetch premiums, but still, first prints always command a premium.
Also, every time you listen to a record, you're objectively reducing its sound quality. So after you buy the best sound quality record, you're not allowed to listen to it. What a dilemma.
No, you just listen to it until you ruin it, and then you have to go buy another one.
But you already ruined it once you listen to it once. Yeah,
but it doesn't matter, because you bought the first print and you've got that one nice and sealed up, and you not sealed, but you've got it like in good sleeves and everything, and it's like, oh, nothing's ever touching this baby. No one will ever listen to this. Maybe you'll have too much wine one night and be like, I'm going to put it on just to say I did it once. But I don't advise that.
All right, Johnny, I want to get all this first print stuff out of the way. I'm especially since 2019, I've been hammering that I want the best and earliest prints of stuff. But mint late print versus the cool early print. And this, I think, is more a thing when sealed game collectors come into the picture, because I think a lot of people that I see on at least like sealed game discussions will take the mint late print over whatever early one they can get. And a lot of that is because it might be a lot of work to find an early print sealed, or it might just be a case where like, even if it isn't a lot of work, there just might be so many like mint late prints available. It's like, oh, well, I could just get like the absolute mint condition of this, because there's like case packs of the late print available. And like, I want a 9.88++. The variant comes second to me.
When you're grade chasing, like when you're trying to find,
because you'll get more Instagram likes for having the 9.88++ than having to explain like, oh, well, actually, if you look at the mailing address on the back of the box, the P.O. box changed, and that actually denotes that like this one came out in 1987 instead of 1989.
Well, you see, there's a TM here, and the R versus
compared to someone being like, oh, it's in mint condition, give it an upvote.
Yeah. I mean, sealed games aren't getting upvoted on Reddit. What are you even talking about?
I don't know.
Have you had too much wine tonight, Tyler?
I think there's a couple prominent people who got banned from the game collecting subreddit for like, because Reddit is run by children. But yeah, it is funny because there's a group of people who post on the game collecting subreddit that like clearly just post sealed games, and like they're trying to be non-confrontational just so they can get all the hate and make people look like jerks. And then everyone hates them. and it's fantastic. You should go on the game collecting subreddit, try to find some posts about graded games. There's like a group of like a dozen people who do this just to basically troll them.
So they got banned for just posting sealed games?
They didn't. So they posted, I wasn't aware of what they actually posted, but let's say they posted like a sealed game. People gave them shit, and then they responded to the people giving them shit, and they got banned for responding to the people giving them shit for not being civil. Because like the mods were looking for an excuse to ban people posting sealed games. Oh.
Yeah.
Because they're not. That's not the purest way to collect, Johnny. Pure people play all 10,000 of their video games.
Yeah. Well, here's a tip for everyone listening. Don't go on social media to exchange ideas with people. Okay? It's never happening. You're never changing anyone's mind. It's not the place for civil discourse. It's the point for screaming your opinion and then hoping people agree with you. Yeah, you're never changing hearts and minds.
You're mostly interacting with children and bots, and over the next 10 years, like literally, increasingly, you will probably be interacting with bots more than you realize, just because the platforms want to keep engagement up. It doesn't matter if you're talking with real people as long as you think you're talking with real people, because in 99% of these scenarios, you're never talking to that person again. You're just, responding to a shitty comment with your own shitty pun.
Yeah. Yeah, I apparently they do this on Tinder as well, to keep sad single men engaged. So bot females will respond. I don't know how this works. I just saw a funny video about a man who made a song of it because he asked the bot to say potato if you're real, and the bot keeps chatting, but will never say potato. He just keeps repeating the request to say potato. It's like, if you're real, say potato. And the bot just keeps going. It's very,
that's like genuinely like horrifying to me. That is the thing where like, if you had the ability to be put in a box and put into like basically the Matrix, but you'd be happy for the rest of your life, you just wouldn't know that you're in a box. Like, would you do it? The idea of interacting with bots that release dopamine because we like win arguments or we think a girl is interested in us on Tinder or something, like that is so dystopian.
Yeah.
This is what the technologists want. I'm telling you guys, sell your Teslas. End the technology.
Oh, is Tesla the technology?
Tesla's
solar batteries, solar cars, super new idea.
Having an array of cameras that are constantly recording and sending that feed back to headquarters that's the most dystopian technology.
Oh yeah,
get rid of your Ring doorbell camera, your Google Nest camera, whatever. Tesla feels like the worst because it's an array of cameras that follows you around too. Well, your phone is the worst, but other than that, it's Tesla.
I mean, all of these cars have all these cameras now.
I mean, they don't have like the full array of cameras like Tesla does.
Okay, I mean, let's get real for a second. That's not true, because
not true?
What year car did you feel like you had to go buy to avoid all of this?
Well, 2012, because in 2013 they required backup cameras. Not that they're sending the backup camera data, to Hyundai or whatever.
How do you know?
You see, I don't know. Every time I just avoided it.
Every time you don't get service that they don't download that information, it doesn't get uploaded.
See, that's paranoia. Like, we know that like Tesla HQ is getting 24/7 feeds of all your Tesla cameras because videos of naked people have been passed around the Tesla office and it's been a big scandal. So, like, we know that's happening. Like, yeah, theoretically Toyota could be doing that with your backup camera, but I don't know. But I'm just going to avoid it anyway because my new car, Johnny, Scion XB from 2012, it's great.
New to you. What's 2012 is not a new car.
It's a new car. It's only got like 120,000 miles. It's practically off the line.
It's yeah. Let's not talk about new cars because you want to know what a dilemma really is?
What?
Buying a used car at all. Like, oh my gosh. What in the dystopia has happened to used car prices?
I don't understand anything at all. Like, so I like really old ship boxes, so it really wasn't a problem for me because like those are kind of the only cheap and serviceable cars you can even get anymore. But once you get into like anything remotely newer, like mid 2010s, it's like not even half the price of a new car. So just go buy the fucking new car. What are you gonna buy this car with 90,000 miles for like half the price of a new one? No, go get an actual new one. It's crazy. The used car prices are crazy. And like the model, like two or three model years back, like you go get a car from 2021, it's like, I don't know, $1,000 off MSRP. I don't understand.
But it's not like this with all cars. So do you know what the e-tron is?
I have no idea what the e-tron is.
Okay. So it's an Audi. It's their electric car. So it's like a $60,000 car. But if you buy one from like 3 years ago, and that it goes down to $25,000. So there are some where the price just falls off completely. But yeah, I don't know. Some of them, all the prices are just sticking for certain brands. A lot of trucks, a lot of manual transmissions now. It's just gotten weird. The market's gotten real weird.
I probably paid an extra $1,000 for a manual transmission in my like piece of shit car, which is crazy to think about because when I bought my original car in 2012, it was like $1,000 cheaper to get the manual, and now it's $1,000 more expensive just because they're so much more rare.
Yeah. Well, you had to get the best variant.
I had to get the best variant, Johnny, getting us back on track.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Yeah. This is really a problem for sealed collectors going back to mint for the, hunting conditional rarity. And for that market, I think it makes sense for those people to hunt conditional rarity because that's what they're all about. That's their thing. It's like opening it and seeing if you hit the grade or not. That's their deal. I'm still sticking to first prints myself. It's like, I don't want it. Like, if I'm going to spend that much money, I'd rather just get an older copy,
I always want the thing I want before worrying about condition is my big thing. And like the thing that will like going back, Super Mario Brothers is just such a good example for everything in this hobby because it really has kind of a variant for every example. But a late print Super Mario Brothers, fairly easy to find in a relatively high grade compared to a matte sticker sealed Super Mario Brothers, impossible to find sealed at all. But there are like sealed collectors who won't even look at like early, like a complete in box matte Super Mario Brothers, which is a very valuable and collectible game now, because it's not sealed. And like their mindset starts at, it has to be mint and sealed before even consider a game. Whereas I guess my mindset starts as, I want this version of a game. What is the best way I can get it what's the best copy I can find of this version that I want? Which, in terms of matte Super Mario Brothers, the answer was the worst copy on planet Earth.
Yeah.
My copy has
someone
stabbed a pencil into the front of my box multiple times. Or shot it with a BB gun, one or the other. But it's matte!
I think it was a BB gun. You got it, though.
Woo!
You have the thing. All right. So here, just to stick on this a little more, I want to go back to the content one a little bit. How do you feel about a game? And we kind of covered this, but I just want to be as clear as can. So when a game has DLC, like released for it later, do you feel any kind of way about that when it gets like a Game of the Year edition? Like, do you think about that at all? Just at all, that it becomes a complete edition of the game for like collecting? Do you ever think about collecting that version? Like, do you ever consider both? Is there any, I know what in general you're like, nah, just give me the oldest print, but is there any scenario there where you're like, I think I want to get the one that has the most information on it, not because of, it's the most complete, but also given the age of these video games now and where things are just being deleted and erased, like you may never have the physical version which has all the content on it.
Yeah.
Again, like that might just disappear.
It has to be a case where I care about the actual DLC. I think the time I probably bought the most DLC was the Xbox 360 era, and man, a lot of times for those games, two that come to mind, like BioShock, Prince of Persia, like a lot of that DLC was just like, all right, here's a little bit more of the game, here's a few extra levels, kind of whatever, and like great that stuff is preserved somewhere, but it doesn't need to be preserved on my shelf. Whereas going to a very recent example, I think Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree I don't know if there's a physical version of that, but when there is a physical version of that, that is such a beloved that's a beloved DLC. I think there's a lot of value that's added there. It's almost like an old style expansion pack, not like a stupid Xbox 360 DLC, where I do think there is a lot of gameplay value in having that preserved on a disc. So if I was an Elden Ring fan, I would definitely buy that in addition to, my expensive giant collector's edition Elden Ring that was only sold via the Bandai Namco store.
Yeah, super good deal. Should have bought 2.
I bet those are still expensive. I didn't get.
You would have made money. I didn't get it either. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting at. It was like because I know there is like a tipping point, obviously, and I just wanted to like cover that. All right. Here's like a dumb one that happens and goes into backlogs, and I want to know, Tyler, you have definitely bought a game with the intention of playing it, right? And then never got to it?
I don't buy games with intentions of playing them. What are you talking about?
I know you have a few. At least you did back once upon a time you did.
Yeah, okay. Yes, I've bought games and then intended to play them and never done it. Happens to all of us.
When do you think we hit a point in the game's journey where you go, you know what? Opening this one is now a mistake. Should you get this is now a sealed game? It's
that's
now
a problem
sealed
with my
collectible.
Switch stuff. Because I buy all the Switch stuff when it comes, like the Nintendo Switch stuff, not like the third-party Switch stuff. Like every Mario and Zelda game comes out, I'm like, all right, let me just get it. It's not going to go down in price that much. So now, I have all these, what like the, I don't know, like the Mario vs. Rabbids Kingdom Battle type games and all the Mario Party games and stuff like that. I would have to probably look at eBay. Like, I think a normal person would just be like, oh, I want to play Super Mario Party. I've got that. Let me just crack it and go play it because I bought it to play it, right? It's just a piece of shrink wrap. But if I go on eBay and see that the shrink wrap adds $25 to the copy of the game, I will probably go buy a used copy and just keep my sealed copy. Even though I'm never going to grade it, I'm never going to sell it. It's just like, but I have it and it's worth like $50 still. So
you just can't take that value hit.
Yes. In most cases I can't, unless I like specifically bought it as a completely disposable thing. Like sometimes I'll if you buy a board game and it sits on the shelf for a while, I don't know. Like if I buy a board game, I'm never intending to get any value back out of it. So even if I bought a board game and it went up in value, I would still just crack it and play it. I'm not going to worry about a board game because it's just not my thing. But just because video games are kind of my thing and I think about them a lot, I get reluctant to kind of destroy value when I unintentionally have it, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's a problem because it's fucking modern mass-produced shit, and I'm still loath to I don't want to crack this and lose $20 for no reason.
I mean, when you would think that wouldn't matter, but you just I have the first print and I know I bought this right when it came out. Right? I know this is the first print. It's a lot of times I look at that and I'm like, is this where I just buy the downloadable version and then not worry about it? It's a problem. Especially if the downloadable version is $10. I don't care about
modern game, sealed modern games, Nintendo Switch games. Those are not things that Tyler cares about.
But it's a mind fuck.
It is. It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why I, of course, buy multiple copies of all the new Zelda games coming out. Because I don't want to crack open my special edition Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, so I have to buy a separate copy of it to actually play.
Well, shoe collectors will tell you, sneakerheads tell you, one to shelf and one to put on your feet.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah. It's real dumb. I don't know how I feel about it. It is a dilemma that I have come across. I've gotten lucky a few times where it'll be the digital copies on sale for $5. I'm just oh yeah, this is not even a question anymore. I had it happen. My son wanted to open one of he was oh, I want to play this Lego game. And I was okay. And then I was ooh, it's sealed. I'm let me open up the Switch store. It was $5. I'm yeah, easy button. Let me just download this for you, bud. Okay. Yeah. Enjoy. Enjoy.
I think the weirdest part about it is that the vast majority of games I play these days are digital, either because I'm emulating them or I'm buying them on Steam. I'm just not buying a lot of physical games to play. So it almost feels like if I buy a physical game, like a Switch game, I'm almost exclusively buying it for my shelf now. It's like I'm never buying those to play. Unless it's like the very rare, like Super Mario Wonder might be the last physical game I bought to actually play.
Not Tears of the Kingdom?
Did that come out? Whatever came out later, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Didn't Super Mario Wonder come out after Tears of the Kingdom?
I don't know, actually. I think Tears of the Kingdom came out after that.
Or what do you do? So I also bought the game I'm playing now, Might and Magic 6. I bought a physical copy of that, and I have the cloth map next to me right now. But then I'm playing like my GOG version of it. So does that count as playing a physical game? Like I'm enjoying the physical components, but I'm not putting the fucking disc in my computer.
I don't think that really changes your experience at all.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna still count it for you. It's a lot easier to make that justification with computer games too, because you're just like, I'm on a computer. I'm doing. This is how you'd play it. This is how I'd be doing it.
As opposed to what? What do you mean?
As like a cartridge, which goes into like this other thing, like, you know, an independent console that has to attach to a TV a certain way and might look a little different. I don't know. It feels different to me. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it feels a little different. So.
All right.
Hey, just to throw this out there. Remember when we were talking about the ship of Theseus and, Plutarch's? Yeah. So there was further added onto this by John Locke. If you don't know about him, you're probably not into, you're not an economist. Anyways.
He's a character on Lost, right?
Yeah. You got it. Yeah. He's an interesting character on Lost and then he isn't. He proposed on Theseus's ship, because if you've removed all of the parts from Theseus's ship, right, but you've made this new ship over time, but what if you kept all of the parts and then made a new ship out of it? Is that Theseus's ship or not Theseus's ship?
What?
You rebuilt...
Is this video game related? What is the dilemma here?
No, it's not. When we were talking about it, I'm just interjecting before we move to the next section. I was just like, when I told you that I fell down a well there and couldn't think, it was because I read that line and I was like, wait a minute, what? And my brain went down that hole. So yeah.
If you want my immediate reaction to this thing, I would say that the concept of Theseus's original ship stays with the original ship, and the new ship you built to the original parts, that becomes its own new ship that you got to christen with a different name.
Okay. Even though it is already done all the things a ship would do, and it is in fact the exact same wood and everything, constructed in the exact same form.
It's kind of like
all
how
the parts went back together.
The secret ingredient is love. Like there was a certain love that went to building the first ship, and when you torqued up those screws, the people putting love into the second ship built with the same components, the physical components are the same, but the love put into it is different. It could be more love or less love. Maybe they loved Theseus's original ship so much, they built it better the second time, and that's actually a better ship now, but it's a different ship.
Okay, but you want the originals, right? And this one has all the original parts. Let me break it down into a way that more of us understand. Okay, Tyler, you've got Lego. You build a ship out of Lego, but you decide you want it to be a different color, or you start messing with the scheme, and then you decide afterwards that, like, oh, let me just change all the gray bricks for red bricks. And then you're like, oh, I guess I'll just, like, I have already got all the pieces, I'll just rebuild that gray ship. Which is the original?
Well, you made it different because you didn't name it. If we called this
you named it the SS Lego.
The SS Lego, so it was gray, and then you rebuilt it as red, and then you rebuilt the gray one. I think that the SS Lego is now red.
So like let's say the top half of it, you're like, oh, I should make the top half red. And you're like, okay. And then you're like, I kind of wish the bottom half was red too. And then you replace the bottom half.
Yep.
And then you took all those and you're like, oh yeah, I guess I could just rebuild the gray ship. Which is the original?
The original is the red SS Lego, and the story of its life is that it was gray and turned red, and now we have this reproduction of the original SS Lego over here.
But
it's a different ship.
How is it? All of the original parts are right here, looking like the original SS Lego.
What
if you did a DNA test? If you did a DNA test, it would be this one.
If I recycle a can of soda and every atom of that original can goes into being melted down and reproduced into a new can of soda, is it the same can of soda? No, it's not the same can of soda. It's a different can made of the same components.
But this one is like exactly the same. Like no one.
All the molecules rearrange themselves in the same way.
How would we even know the difference? If I walked in and saw you build a gray SSS Lego, did not see the changes happen, then came back and you were like, "Hey Johnny, grab me the SS Lego," and I grabbed you the gray one.
That's your fault for not understanding the history of the objects. If we had someone in the room keeping records of what changes were being made over time, then you would look at the records and be like, "Oh, actually, this is the SS Lego, the one that's now red."
But you said, "Get me the original," and I said, "Well, this is all the original parts."
This is like the dual slit experiment.
Lego.
This is like quantum physics now. It's like, oh, the act of having an observer is changing the outcome. Which one would be considered the SS Lego if no one saw the swap take place?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, that's a fun thought, right? Like, it's a fun thought. I think putting it into the Lego terms makes it pretty easy to understand. Anyways, we can now move on. I've dragged you down this side.
The thing with video games is that people generally don't care when you swap stuff around. Like, we really don't consider like a cartridge, an insert, a DVD case, all that to be like paired together as one object. Like, people will swap out manuals, people will swap out cases for better cases, even though if in like some minor way that like no one will ever know, this DVD case might not be the exact match for this PS2 game, even though they're both PS2 cases. And they might even look the same on the surface, but maybe they were the same exact style of case, like the same labeling, the same everything, but one had like a slightly different plastic composition that was made in Mexico versus Japan. And there's no markings to consider that, but if you took a scientific analysis of the material, they're technically different cases. But like no one cares about that kind of stuff. Not that I'm saying we should, but like we are very freely swapping our stuff around.
Oh yeah. And I mean, as we go further into collecting too, we've discovered what a fucking mess that is. And how all of these swaps and changes, when people were just trying to get the best value to make the best looking one, as they pulled backs off and put the wrong backs on and all the nonsense and put the wrong revision manuals with games and stuff. Now it's a mess, you know.
Yeah, like all of
like, mess on our hands.
Yeah, stuff like back swaps where like the imprint code is wrong. Like some like imprint codes are a very specific thing that certain games will only have certain imprint codes. So if you don't swap those one for one, like you're causing chaos. I mean, while we're talking about dilemmas, like how much do you care about that kind of thing? I think as much as I'm over here being like, oh, we need the original everything. That's the best thing. It doesn't kill me thinking about it. Because if I thought about that with all the games in my collection, like, am I really going to go check how many NES games do I have? Like, including duplicates, like 1,500 NES cartridges. Am I really going to go look at every one of those cartridges and try to determine if it has one of the correct back codes on it? Or if like, maybe I could probably find like a couple, NES games in my collection that probably have swapped backs at some point in their life. Because, I've collected these over 15 years.
Or just wrong dust covers.
Yeah, wrong dust covers. Like things like that. Like two dust covers can both be plain black dust covers, but they are different plain black dust covers that technically might not belong to each other.
Yeah, but like folding methods inside, different way they were sealed together. Yeah. If
you care about this so much and you just like can't stop thinking about this and you have to check all your games, like just buy sealed games at that point, because it's not worth your time to go that deep down the rabbit hole. Like if I'm looking at my like Xbox 360 cases and trying to find out if someone ever like case swapped an Xbox 360 game, like it's just buy it sealed and then you'll know it's right, dude. Like, come on, it's a case, you'll be fine.
And for all the people out there being like, oh, yeah, well, that was just a thing with Nintendo games. GameStop has something to say to you about the way they've ruined modern collectible disc games, like for a whole era, because they just took all the discs and manuals out of those cases because they didn't want people to steal them out of them, put them in drawers, and then when one would come up, they just put whatever random one they had there.
It is absolute chaos.
Lots.
I mean, on the plus side, no one really cares.
No, but it's not right.
It's not right.
I mean, for what? It's not right.
I think you could care about it to an extent. Like if you know a game is supposed to have like the Nintendo shiny NES dust cover, like swap the right component and make sure your like Sega Saturn game doesn't have a replacement Sega Saturn case. But like, it's not something I'm worried about if I don't know about it. Cause like, that's all I would be doing is worrying about my components if I really cared about that stuff.
Yeah. And down that way lies madness. Okay. On this same frame, let's keep it going though, down this avenue. How complete is enough? Like when you're buying a game. And what I mean by that is you want to buy just a nice CIB, and CIB meaning complete in box, not cart instructions in box. What if it doesn't have the reg card, but it's a really nice copy? What if it doesn't have the map or a bonus item? Like how complete is complete enough for you to buy a thing?
I think I'm a curmudgeon-y enough old man who has enough things to be happy already that if the complete game, like 100% complete game I want, isn't available at a price I want to pay, I'll just put it off. And I understand, like, there are definitely points in my life where I'm like, I need this right now to, like, complete a set, or, like, I'm really into this game right now, I need a copy. Oh, I'll get this one, even though it's not quite the condition I want, not quite the completeness I want. But at this point in my collecting career, like, I'm willing to wait for anything. So if I know there's an insert that's not there, I won't buy. Like, maybe, like, man, if there's like a big box PC game that's missing like a freaking advertisement and there's like one in much nicer condition or something, I'll probably just go for the nicer condition one and forget about the advertisement. I don't think I would do that for a registration card, though. Okay.
Even if it's very rare?
Like what's the advertisement's very rare?
No, like the game, the reg card. Well, there was a game you just had to do this with, right? Like I say just had to. I think like a year ago, a PC game where it didn't have like the reg card, but it was a super rare game, and you went ahead and bought it anyways. One of these Apple IIc games. Was it the Apple game? What was that game?
Oh, yeah. I ended up having it's Apple Panic you're thinking of.
Apple Panic, yeah.
I've got like 4 copies of that now because I ended up being like, oh, I got to get everything, and it turns out there's a bunch of variants and stuff. I don't know. I really don't like buying incomplete games. I guess I can't say I will 100% always go for the 100% complete if I know it exists, but it's really got to be some kind of exceptional case if I don't buy it 100% complete.
Yeah, it's got to be, and it would have to be for me as well. I'm at that point where it's like, sometimes I don't really care about reg cards. I'm not a guy who gets fussed about reg cards on stuff. If it's like a common reg card though, like if it's a game where you can like find it most of the time on eBay, and what are we talking about? The difference of $20 or something? I'm just going to go buy the one with the reg card, because if I want it that bad, I might as well get it as complete as I can if it's available. Now, if it's this game that doesn't show up, or it's like a weird variant that has like the weird component in it that I need that never shows up, then that becomes a different story. So like a weird bonus item, we'll use movie tickets because it's easy. So like this is a rare game, and it had like it's missing the manual, but it has the weird loose movie ticket. I'll buy that, and then like just I'll buy another one.
I mean, that's easy.
The hard yeah, that's easy to do. So there are exceptions for how complete is complete, but in general, I would rather just buy the most complete thing.
Yeah, but every time you're doing that with the movie ticket, you're basically buying nowing both those games at the same time, right? You're not going to be like, oh, I'll set this as busy work for me to complete later. You're just going to like sort them out once you receive them in the mail.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I actually just did this for a game. Was not a movie ticket game, but it was just like a very easy, there was a bunch of versions of the game that were in various states of completeness as a big box PC game. So this one though didn't have the disc, like just the CD. I was like, it was like the CD case and the CD, but the box had the reg card, all the original adverts, the instructions. I was just like, and you can find the disc because that's the easy part to find out of a big box game. And it wasn't like a bunch of weird variants and prints of it. So it was very easy to tell. I'm like, I'll just buy this incomplete one and then pick up the disc because that was easy. And I bought them at the exact same time.
Yeah. I think for completeness, if it's a cheap game, it's like, what are you going to pay like 10 more bucks to just like get it 100% good and done? Like if it's cheap, just like get it. Like I'm thinking of Mortal Kombat on the Sega Genesis. That game has like 100 inserts in it. But it's like, what? It's like a $25 game. Like you might as well spend $35 to get like a really nice copy. And then the next time you open your copy of Mortal Kombat, a game you probably like if you're buying it, you'd be like, oh, look at all the shit in here. Oh, I'm so happy I have this complete Mortal Kombat instead of just like, oh, it's a Sega Genesis manual that's kind of curled up and folded because Sega Genesis manuals, or the boxes don't keep the manuals in very good condition.
Yeah, and let me further this a little bit. So you're like, oh, I'm going to complete it later, and I'm just going to put a save search. Now you're just like spending your life looking for this right thing, and who knows how long that's going to take. Could be 3 years later, 5 years later, the cost of those inserts goes up, or, you know, they finally show up, and then you got to pay like an extra $6 shipping. You're not saving as much as you think you are. So I wish I could go back and tell past me when I was just like, I don't care about all this shit in Super Nintendo games. I just want, like, really the box and the card are the thing I care about. And they are, because, like, the game is what you play and the box is what you present. I don't really want to look at the manuals. I just want to have them look right on my shelf because it's just for me. Now, I wish I could go back to 2006, Johnny, and shake him a lot and just be like, stop it. We're going to waste so much of our lives looking at manuals and reg cards and posters. Please. It was easy back then. What are you doing, you fool? So let me tell you, for all you guys looking at Xbox 360 games, PS4 games, whatever, just please buy the most complete one. You don't want to fuck around with this. Just don't do it.
And so on the other end of cheap games, if you're buying Crusader of Senti, something expensive, LSD is one I just posted on PlayStation. LSD, it comes with a little packet of like 8 or so little postcards. Like, if you're buying that, you don't want one without the postcards because you're buying like $1,000 video game. Like, you're going to buy one that's incomplete? That's going to be even more of a nightmare because if you end up having to buy a complete in box one to basically complete yours, they're like, what, you're going to spend another $1,000 to fix your, $800 mistake you made the first time? So whether it's really cheap or really expensive, it seems like the wrong move to not get it complete.
Yeah.
I'd say the one exception, I don't know if you need like secret knowledge, but if you know that there's another game that has a much cheaper identical component, and if you think it would be fun to hunt for that, maybe it would be worth it just to have like the collecting journey. And so the thing I'm thinking about is like, if you buy Musha without the registration card, that's an expensive registration card. Whoever's charging you is probably going to charge like $100+ for a copy that has a registration card in it. But the Hellfire registration card is exactly the same. So if you want to get your incomplete Musha and set up a save search for Hellfire and wait until you can get like the cheap Hellfire that someone listed for the regular price, but it has the rare registration card in it, that could be fun. I think that could be a journey. But unless you're specifically doing something like that, just not worth it.
So here a little more for where I think our collectors are. GameCube games. So we know our GameCube collectors love variants, right? And you see me post all these dumb variants. There's a lot of GameCube games that come with like a DVD or a CD or something. And most of these games are cross-platform, so they wound up being on the PS2 or the Xbox, sometimes the Xbox 360 as well. And if you look at the GameCube, it's always like a premium price for it, but the exact same component will live. Like the DVD will be in the PS2 copy as well. And they're like, oh yeah, if you want this, it's $400 on the GameCube. But for some reason, someone's got the case and the manual and the disc, and it's just missing the DVD, but it's like $100, but complete it's $400. And then you're like, oh, I'll just go spend $30 on the PlayStation 2 copy, grab the disc out of it, and just toss it in there. Now I've got the best complete GameCube version. So yeah, there are exceptions, but you again, as Tyler said, have to have that secret knowledge.
All right, give me some more of these hot dilemmas, Gianni.
I mean, they're not hot dilemmas. This is just stuff I think about as I go through my own collecting journey, and I know you do too. So,
PC
Tyler,
versus console. You always get the PC version. That's easy. All right, next.
Okay. Always? What if it was released on the console
Then
first?
you get the console version.
Okay.
Come on.
What about, so Japanese versus American then, Tyler? You brought it up. What, like, should you always be checking to see? I know you love to err on the side of Japan, but there's a lot of games, which, especially modern games, that were released in America first. Should you be checking?
Are there? I don't care about modern games, but
I mean, there's Nintendo games, NES games, Super Nintendo games that were released in America first, and then
but not like Nintendo games. Like every Nintendo game is going to be released in Japan first or simultaneously.
Maybe, but I mean, sometimes it's simultaneous, but comes out 3 days earlier in America.
But that's not happening on NES and Super Nintendo.
Do you know that for a fact?
No, I don't. But also, I'm not like I'm not a complete Japanese originalist here. Like
let's play with the scenario.
Yeah, if I'm willing to buy the Japanese version of the game, I am almost always already going to have an American copy of the game, because I'm not set collecting in Japan. I'm going after specific games that I like or think are important in Japan. And generally, if I like or think a game is important, I'm also going to buy the American version. So I don't really have a lot of dilemma between which one to buy. I guess if I'm buying sealed, I will generally just go for Japanese because I don't want to buy those twice. And it's also like 10 times cheaper. But other than that, I mean, the main distinction I make with Japan is if there's a multi-platform game, I want the ones from the Japanese developers on like PlayStation or the Nintendo console, depending. And I want the ones from Western developers on PC and Xbox. Although, with the state of the Xbox brand, I might just never want an Xbox game again and just PC or nothing.
Okay. Well, let's keep it on buying games. Tyler, when you see a game come up,
buy it now.
When should you buy it? Like, it's a game you kind of want. It's not exactly in your goals, but it's like maybe it's kind of a good deal. When should you pass, and when is it FOMO time?
I don't know if the way you described this game, it sounds like it's time to just pass because I think you should be setting your goals and prioritizing your goals. So if this is just like a whatever game that is like an okay, pretty good deal, that doesn't sound like it's the game at the top of your want list. And I think you should have a game on top of your want list. And whatever this could be, maybe it's a $60 game that's on eBay right now for $45 plus tax and shipping. That's $55 that could go towards the thing at the top of your want list. And once you get the thing at the top of your want list, you're going to be a lot happier than the way you described it, as just like, it's kind of a game I want. It's a game I know about. It's a game that people think is cool. There's a little bit of hype around it. That's the type of game that you open up, throw on your shelf, and never think about again. Whereas in my game collect, like the last thing I bought that really, really excited me, Ultima 1, when I'm thinking about my game collection right now, I'm always thinking about my copy of Ultima 1. I'm so excited to have that copy. And
when did you get it?
Like a year ago, 6 months ago.
Yep.
And I've bought, a few dozen other games since then. I probably couldn't tell you like 10 games I've bought since I bought Ultima, because it's not one of these games that sticks in my mind. But when you buy the thing at the top of your want list, it's a game that's going to stick in your mind. So don't just go buy like, it's a $45 version of a hyped game. That should be $60. It's a good deal.
Cosmology of Kyoto, man. You're not excited about that in your collection?
I'm excited about Cosmology of Kyoto. I mean, that was also something that's pretty high on my want list.
Yeah. We said you haven't thought of anything since
I was really just kind of making a point. Kind of everything I'm buying is the thing at the top of my want list now, because I'm buying so few games and really holding out for the stuff I really want now, Johnny.
Yeah. So even if you think that game, like that hype game, like you see it's going up and like you kind of want it, like the hype train has begun on this game, Tyler. You see that copy, it's $45 now. Which used to be like the standard price, but most people are paying like $65, $70 right now, and you think that's going to go up. Like, do you just say, I guess if I ever want this, now is the time, or I'm really going to be screw it. If I ever come back and decide to want this, what do you do?
I don't. It sounds like you could buy it and flip it for like $5 after all your shipping and fees, which is just not worth it. Or
it's not about the value. It's like you think you might buy it later one day.
You think you might, but that's every video game, man. Johnny, one day I might go after the entire US PS2 set. I think the PS2 is one of the best consoles ever made, maybe the best console ever made. It is logical for me to think maybe I'm gonna want to own literally every PS2 game one day. But just because I see a deal on a PS2 game does not mean I should buy that, because then literally my entire game budget would be spent finding PS2 deals. Yeah, and that's like not what I'm into. That's something I might be into one day, and it's very logical that I might get there one day, but it's definitely not where I am today.
Tyler, but it might be double. It's $45 now. When you decide to come back, it might be $100.
All right, here we go. Everyone, go back to, I don't know, let's go 10 years ago. Look at the stock market in 2015. Let's pretend you put $1,000 in the 2015 stock market, and now compare how much the stock market has changed to how much the price of the most hyped video game has changed. Maybe besides
Super Mario
hang
3.
Tab Super Mario Brothers. Fuck that. Look at the average cost of a PS2 game. Pick your PS2 game. Pick whatever the most expensive PS2 game is. I don't even know what the most expensive PS2 game is anymore. Most likely, if you had saved your money, invested your money in something very easy, like an S&P 500 index fund, your money is now worth more than that game has gone up in value. Because the vast majority of fucking mass-produced video games do not appreciate in price as much as regular boring investments. And I'm not saying this as like you should invest all your money instead of buying video games. I'm saying waiting is not the end of the world with like the depreciation of the dollar and inflation. Things do not go up in price in general as much as the dollar is devalued. Like things go up in price, but their real value may be essentially the same.
Okay, so it's Kuwan is the most expensive game-ish right now on the PS2.
Uh-huh.
So
what was that in 2015?
In 2015, Kuwan was $75.
Great. What is it now?
It is $850.
Damn, I don't think we got quite that far, Johnny. You're ruining my thing here, but my point is still okay. Stop it.
Kuwan is a weird exception that like took off. But Rule of Rose did the same thing where it was like $100 and then became like a $500 game. But these are like the top of the list.
If you speculate on every game that you think is going to 10x, you're going to have more losers than winners. Is the problem? Like you could say like, oh, I should have put all my money in Bitcoin or Tesla when there are like 100 other like Bed Bath and Beyond and GameStop type hype stocks that completely crashed.
Yeah. So like, I want to go to something a little more real. Oh, here's like a good one. Valkyrie Profile 2. People like that game. It's an RPG of a beloved game from the PS1 era. 2015, it was $15. Do you want to know how much it is now? $30.
$275.
$30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it went up, but it only went up. It doubled. It doubled in price. You 2x'd it. You 2x'd your $15. But, you didn't really make that much money, so. You didn't like it's not that big a deal. Most of the time it's not going to be that big a deal. Killer 7, another game, was like $15. It went up to $20. Cool. So
I mean, that's
these are games that people want.
If you're not looking at the value of the dollar and you're just looking at the numerical amount, you could buy a lot of things that will look like they're going up in time. Put all your money into gold. The price of gold will go up over time. Will it go up as much as inflation? I don't know. It might not. And it looks like you're getting money, but really it's not worth as much as putting into an index fund or something. So
for instance, just so you know, so $1 in 2015 was obviously $1, but today it's $1.33.
All right.
So 10 years ago, the value of your dollar, you lost 33 cents. You lost 30% of the value of your dollar if you didn't put it into something good. So
I
the other
think
thing.
so. I
Don't just
think
keep
you
money.
can, you can, I guess, quote unquote, come out ahead by buying the right video games. But unless you were actively like, unless there was something you were literally going to buy anyway, or you're like actually selling them and not just being like, oh, I've made $20 on that game, and you're not accounting for shipping and fees, and you're not actually selling it. So there is no, it's just a complete sunk cost. There's no value there whatsoever. The bigger risk is becoming a giant hoarder of games that you bought that were great deals. If you have 4,000 games in your apartment that were all great deals, or like games that are going to hit it big, and you don't sell any of them, and you have spent $200,000 on mass-produced video games that are cool video games, like you've got the good stuff, but it's just like a bunch of boxes sitting up in your life and they're not insured, and you know, that's a really risky way to live your life. I think you can probably like that. I think that is a situation that affects collectors of all kinds. I think you could look at a lot of comic collectors who maybe don't have like great retirement accounts, but they have 100,000 comic books sitting in long boxes. And yeah, if they went through and spent the rest of their life selling comic books, that would be a great return for them. But what are they doing? They're still buying more comic books because they can't stop.
Yeah. So the S&P 500, 2015, it was $2,000.
Yeah.
Do you want to know
what it tripled in the past 10 years? Right?
It's 6,000. Yeah.
Free money.
So just so y'all know what we're talking about.
This has been your weekly collector's quest. I don't know, maybe put all your money into stocks instead. I don't know. People saying that like we're actually going to hit the second Great Depression now, but
yeah,
put your money in stocks anyway. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean,
take the ride down with us, guys.
Yeah, I mean, if your plan is to invest in video games, those are going to go down too. So let's talk about big crashes. The S&P 500 2018 went from. Nope, it still basically just went up. Sorry, guys.
You know, it's a pretty big crash. Sealed copies of Tecmo Bowl on the NES.
Well, look, back in 2015, in November, right before 2016, the S&P was at $2,100. It dipped to $1,880, and then just kept moving up. And then there was a super big dip in 2020 where it dropped down to like $2,400 when it was previously $3,400. So that's lost 33%, right? That's a big dip. And then a year later, it was at 4,500. So, you know, just do with that what you will.
Johnny, those stocks, that's all just hopes and dreams. I put all my money into real money, hard gold and silver, real money. So when the global economic collapse happens, I'll be the only one able to transact because gold has always had value throughout history. When people don't have jobs and we're killing each other over ham sandwiches, people are going to want to... I'm going to be able to use my gold coin worth $1,100 right now somehow to get the necessities I need for the rest of my life. This is brought to you... this example brought to you by Tyler, a guy who thinks that investing in gold and silver is kind of dumb. I'm sorry for the gold and silver investors out there. No one has ever got rich investing in fucking gold.
That's weird. Okay. I mean, that's a bold statement. Maybe you've never heard about the gold rush, Tyler.
Well, the shovel salesman. I mean, of course.
Okay.
Is that an investment? Okay. That's more of like a pursuit. Like they went there and they speculated on land. Like they had to like actually do stuff. They didn't just buy and hold gold.
Those people invested in themselves, Tyler.
Exactly. They invested.
Okay.
Perfect.
So anyways, just because we talked about it, gold in 2015, $1,200. This is a troy ounce, right? I don't know why they get to be troy ounces instead of like ray ounces. I'm just kidding. That's so stupid.
Wait, no, I looked this up recently. Like a troy ounce it's like slightly different than an ounce, right? It's so stupid.
Go on.
It is 1.097 ounces, Johnny. Why? I don't know, because this stupid, archaic gold salesman just made some shit up. Anyway.
Taking account for that thumb. Sometimes resting on. Anyways, gold now is $2,800. So,
It's primed to explode, though.
I mean, this is kind of an explosion. The gold has gone straight up since 2023.
Has it 3x'd in the past 10 years?
It has almost 3x'd.
Oh, well, good job. Let's put all our money in gold.
Yeah. I mean, but that's after a big dip. So it was like 1,800 in 2014 or 2012 and then dropped as low as 1,000 in 2015. So, shit happens. Anyways, this is not investing advice, not real financial advice. We're just kind of telling you what our dilemmas have been. And sometimes I think about every time I buy a video game and I look at any money that I just have sitting in a savings account that is not doing work for me. And I go, should I buy a video game? Do I actually care about this stuff? Or should I sell everything and just put it in the stock market and then see where I'm at 75 years old and, everything's come due and, how my life will look.
This is us still harping on it. Your weekly reminder, guys, max out those 401ks and IRAs. That's $30,000 a year you could be putting towards your retirement.
God, we are the worst video game collectors ever. Don't stop buying games. What are you doing? Yeah, that's Collector's Quest. Every single week. Have you heard about the S&P 500?
Unless,
God damn it, people.
Unless it's a 9.8 A plus BioShock Infinite for the Xbox 360. The first print with the orange sticker on front.
Whoa.
I mean, that's a real investment right there.
I mean, BioShock 10th anniversary comes with the statue, even though it's just got the BioShock collection in it. Pretty good deal. All right. Anyways, more dilemmas, Tyler. More and more dilemmas. Let's, on this same vein, Tyler, how much stuff is too much stuff?
How much stuff is too much stuff?
Yeah, how do you, when do you look at it and you go, maybe I should stop? Is this the end?
You've been over my house.
Yeah.
I think if, let's say you have an acquaintance from work who's coming over for like a board game night, if you would be embarrassed to show your acquaintance your entire collection, not just like the nice shelves you have set up, I'm talking about the secret boxes under your bed type stuff, that's probably when it's too much. I've got too much.
I've got too much too.
Did I ever say that on the show that my collection peaked in size? I don't think I did.
Yeah. You did.
Okay, yeah. I sold about 200 games. Maybe you talked to me,
AD, about it.
Yeah.
Did you? You got rid of all of them?
No, just like I have like all these fucking Atari cartridges, Famicom cartridges, Super Famicom cartridges, Famicom Disk System doubles. Like I just have a lot of fucking stuff that I don't care about. Like at some point I was like, oh man, I was literally getting Famicom cartridges for less than $1 in bulk. And I'm like, that's video games for less than $1. And I could have hundreds of them. And I look at it and I'm like, God, I hate every Famicom game I have that's not complete in box. Even though they were essentially free, you know what else is cheap? Complete in box Famicom games. Those are also cheap. I would rather have one complete in box Famicom game that I care about than 20 cartridges that are just like the random 80-cent bulk bin stuff. So I'm just trying to get rid of all my bulk cartridges. I'm keeping my like Super Nintendo and NES cartridges, like my sets that are loose. Because I mean, I love that stuff. That's how I originally started collecting. But I do have a lot of just like fucking bulk. It's time to get rid of it. I gotta get rid of like half my big box games because they take up so much space and I do not care about half of them. It's a lot. I think it's very easy for any collector to have too much stuff, except for those fucking Pokemon collectors because their collectible is so nice and compact. It's
geniuses. We've collected the wrong fucking thing.
So frustrating how easy it is to collect cards. For some reason, modern cards can cost $2,500 in Pokemon, which that's like a crazy, like one of the most expensive games of all time type price in video games. But they're so compact and easy to store and easy to sort. And you don't have to, no one judges you for not playing the trading card game. It's just like expected. It's just like, oh, you don't play the trading card game? Yeah, because they're Pokemon cards. We just collect them. What are you talking about?
So my son has been into, I've told you this, I think I've talked about it on the show. So he's been like into it, getting like Pokemon cards. And I'm just like, I guess if you're going to pick up a collectible, I would much rather you pick up this than video games. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah. So I started seeding his packs, Tyler. So I went to my shop and I bought like EX copies, like full art copies of cards that are like $5 cards. Like if you were a kid and you pulled it, you would think that was awesome, right? Like, and like not the dumb ones. I'm like getting like Charizards and Pikachus and shit, and like Blastoise and Squirtle, like the ones everyone knows, right? Like Eevee and shit. I'm just getting. I bought those, and like every 10th pack, I just seed like a good one in there. Just like a $5 to $10 card, just so we can open it and feel like he ripped something awesome.
This is a terrible idea. You're basically teaching him that it's easy to get the good stuff if you just buy enough packs.
No, I mean, well, that is how you get the good stuff in Pokemon.
Yeah, but you're making it easier, which is going to make him want to crack more packs. This is how you start a gambling addiction. Oh, I just set the slot machine so this guy wins every 10th spin. And then all of a sudden he's a lifelong gambling addict because he's chasing that high constantly now.
But he has no concept of value. He just wants to see a cool card. He just wants to open a cool card.
Yeah, exactly. That dopamine is the win for him. He doesn't care about the value. He cares about seeing the shiny. And you're giving that dopamine to him too frequently.
I mean, all of them, like, well, here's the thing. So a lot of them come with like the bullshit ones anyways, right? So like that don't matter. So I'm just like, here's a couple of good named characters. So you have these ones now, and hopefully in 10 years, when you come back and look at this binder that eventually you're not going to give a shit about, and it's going to be rot in your closet. And then you're going to be like, remember when I collected Pokemon, Dad? And I'm going to be like, yeah, this binder that I kept for you, hopefully it's got some good ones in
it. Do you put cards from the wrong set into his packs?
No.
Oh, you keep it consistent. I would totally just like put in random cards.
No, because I bought him a variety of packs from like different sets too. Because he doesn't care. He's not set collecting.
I mean, that would be the funny thing. I would be like laughing to myself, like he doesn't even know that card's from the 90s and that pack is from 2017.
Yeah. He totally wouldn't know. But no one cares about kid stories. But yeah, today he told me, or not today, like a week ago, he told me what he wanted to do was go down to a shop, and he wanted to go to the case and buy singles, because just opening packs, like he wanted to spend his birthday money. He didn't want to just buy packs. He wanted to pick out a few. He'd rather get a few that he liked, guaranteed that he liked, than just buy random packs. So he came to this conclusion on his own, and was very excited when I took him down to the shop, and like I pulled aside my buddy and told him, I'm like, find me named characters again, that are like $10 to $20 in value. He wants to buy like 3, and like, let me give him a variety pick. So because he wanted to see him in the case and everything, and like, be a discerning Pokemon collector. So he got to do that today, and he was very excited. But he wanted to buy singles, not just individual packs. So that was interesting. Anyways, these are the dilemmas. This is your real life. Just collect Pokemon cards. It's so much easier.
Guys. It's so much easier.
It's so much fucking easier. And you can just put them in your binder. Look, and you can take your whole fucking collection with you. And you just like walk them around and be like, hey guys, look at this. This is the best shit in the world. I got it right here. Look at it. And then other Pokemon collectors will be like, oh my God, that's awesome. And video game collectors are like, well, hold on. Let me pull up this picture and blow it up so you can kind of see what I'm showing. You're like, yeah, that whole wall, it's like a bunch of games that are like way older than me or as old as me. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool.
The thing with a very, very popular collectible, this is kind of, let's pit two hobbies against each other. If you're collecting Pokemon cards, it's so invested in and speculated on and researched, and like millions and millions of people are in the same hobby as you. You kind of can't get anything new and exciting, I feel like. I mean, this could be wrong. Like, you guys tell me, but you couldn't look at Pikachu cards until you find a rare Pikachu card that no one's ever found before, and then, like, post that on a forum and be like, check it out, guys, I found this cool new Pikachu. Whereas in video games, like, you could just literally pick a game you like, Sim City, and you could just look at 500 different versions of Sim City until you find something interesting and be like, oh, check it out, guys. I found this weird version of Sim City. It's the only version that came with both the 3.5 diskettes and the 5.25 floppies in one box. And you might be the only person who's ever cared about that since it came out. And I just feel like, because there's video game collecting is so broad and it doesn't have any rails. Like card game kind of have rails. They put out a set. It's like, here's this set of 150 cards. Whereas video games is just like, it's all media forever. Anything could happen. We just produced this stuff. We didn't keep track of it. So I think it makes it more exciting. You can get more exciting stuff that no one's ever seen in video games.
Yes, you can. You feel definitely much more like a historian. It scratches that itch. There is discovery and nuance and things that, like, look, our hobby is still a bit of a joke. Like the books written about it are like god awful. Even the good ones are not great. It's just, it's still the Wild West. Our pricing stuff is not good. Like, everything else is a much more sophisticated, refined hobby than us. But because that is true, that means you can scratch other itches that might appeal to you, like learning and discovering stuff and being the person who blazes trails. So,
yeah, and it's really easy to get stuff you would consider good stuff for a cheap price because not everyone agrees on what the good stuff is. Where I think in Pokemon, the good stuff is probably pretty set. And if like you think something is cool, like if you think something different is cool than like the established, this card's worth $1,000 and like it's a 50-cent card, it's probably because there's like 50,000 copies of that card available. So it is kind of nothing special.
Yeah. You would need some heavy influencer or something to happen to really shift the collective mind share of that hobby into believing something that was not obvious was cool.
Or you could just go find all the movie ticket variants, Johnny, and you'll be the guy. And you'll be like the guy with the most knowledge on that because literally no one else in the hobby is doing this.
I'm already that guy.
Yeah. You're the guy.
I'm 100% the guy. Anyways. All right. More dilemmas, Tyler? More? You ready?
I'm ready because I lost where we are, so I'm just going to make you say for the rest of the episode.
Okay. So, if you see two expensive games on a shelf, retail, this is like a modern collectible, old collectible, doesn't matter. You're somewhere where you can buy a video game. You see two of them, they're underpriced, and you need one. Do you buy one or do you buy both? They're like pretty underpriced. You can flip one, turn a tiny little profit. Easy money.
What was there an old versus new era component here? Or is it just any two video games?
Any two video. It could be new. It could be old. I'm just telling you, like in today's day and age, it's probably a newer game because that's the world we live in. But that doesn't really matter. The mental exercise is you see something of value, underpriced. There are two of them. You can get one for yourself and just be content with the one you needed, or you can pick up that second one and the market is much higher. You could flip it, make a little money. Not let's say double whatever it is to cost. You could sell this one and pay for the one you just got. That sounds like smart business, but how do you feel about that?
I mean, it depends on the price, I guess. I mean, it would really have to be.
It's $100. You could flip it for $200.
I mean, that's like on the edge of where I'm considering because I hate selling video games so much. I hate selling anything so much.
Now, is it the hate of doing it, but there's no ethical dilemma?
Oh no, there's no.
It's just not worth your time.
Oh no, it's not worth my time. Like in a real sense, yes, it would be worth my time if I knew I could definitely get $100. But I feel like what always happens is, this game's worth $200, but I'm the guy who just wants to run auctions and get things over with because I don't want like all my buy it nows popping off at different times. So I make everything an auction. It all ends at the same time. And then like, cause I'm the auction, mine's going to go a little bit lower. So really I'm going to get like $190 for my copy, minus the eBay fees, minus the shipping. I had these 6 models that I don't know if you know what Kingdom Death Monster is. It's a collectible miniatures board game, very expensive and boutique. And I had 6 expansion packs essentially that were like Kickstarter exclusive, like stuff that people wanted. And they're in these giant boxes and I don't want to deal with them. And I sold them all at one time on eBay and had them all at the end at the same time so you can combine shipping so I'd only have to run to the post office once. And someone canceled their fucking order and now I have to go to the post office again to just ship the one that someone didn't want because they bid on it. And just there's always little hassles with eBay. and that's the stuff that will keep me from buying that. So in the more realistic sense, with the dilemma that you're facing me with, I'm going to buy both copies, stick both of them on my shelf, and not sell either of them. And I'll be like, oh yeah, one day I'll get around to selling that. And then it'll be like 10 years later, I'm like, why do I have all this shit? Oh my God, I gotta sell all this shit on eBay. And then it becomes like, a big collection sell-off type thing. And at that point, I don't care what I'm getting for it. It's just like, get this stuff out of my house.
Okay.
That's just how I deal with it. And I'm currently in the get this shit out of my house phase where it's just like, I'm not like listing my cartridges individually. It's like, here's 90 cartridges, just whatever I can get for a 99-cent auction. Get it out.
Yeah, so I'm undecided on this one a little bit. It's a lot of it is the time factor. Like, I'm not going to sell this, and like, also, who cares? Like, for a $50 come up, that's not sparking me enough joy. I don't want this to be my job, right? To do this, and that feels suddenly like my hobby is work. Other people will say that's my hobby paying for itself, and I'm not here to be like, you guys shouldn't do that, because there's a lot of people who enjoy hunting for games, and then like the idea that their collection is funding itself, and they go out and they do this, and it's their whole process, and that's a part of it they enjoy, right? That's like part of their whole thing. I like to catalog games and look at dumbass variants and like look at barcodes on the back of games and try to figure out what the fuck is different. That's my thing. Your thing might be the hunt, the coming up in value, the collection paid for itself. That's all fine. But if it's if it's a $50 or $100 thing, I'm kind of like, nah, probably not. I do feel a little bit of like, yeah, I'm just going to leave this here. And then someone will feel good about grabbing it. Like someone else will feel like they got to win. I will do that. If I'm hunting with someone, which doesn't happen that often anymore, but if I'm out with someone and we're like both at a game store, I'll be like, hey, look, there's two. And I'll pass that copy to a friend. Be like, you should grab this. It's a good price. Or like I said, or I'll just leave it there. If it is like a $200 game that I can go get $500 for, and I like already have it, like let's say it's already in my collection, I'm probably picking it up. It's like, well,
like how often do you find that deal though? That's the deal everyone dreams of. I feel like that never happens.
Never happens.
Unless it's like a weird variant. Like if it's a weird variant that the seller doesn't know they have, and it's not just like some miraculously underpriced game, like I'd probably pick it up. Yeah.
So the other thing I've done in this situation is like, if I know a friend is looking for one, I'll pick it up so I can give it to my friend for whatever I paid.
Sure.
That happens. But yeah, I am not out there all the time. When it becomes a more substantial amount of money, I'm not there just to give someone the free win, because what I actually think will happen is, if I leave it there, it's just going to be another flipper who finds it first, because they're actually the ones on the hunt. And then it will just be them making the money when I should just do what's best for me and my situation.
Sure.
So
I think I used to be like, when I was in high school collecting, that's when I was really like, oh man, the hobby can pay for itself. I mean, the hobby did not pay for itself because I just didn't sell that much stuff, but I did buy stuff specifically to flip it in high school when I had like a Burger King job. And so I could make like a little bit of extra money by buying underpriced stuff. Like I didn't care that it took me all this time to list stuff on eBay and to ship my packages out, because my time had no value in high school. Because we get out of school at like 2 p.m. You got half the day to do whatever the hell you want in high school. The school was great. We thought school was bad as kids. Like, what were we thinking? And now, like, my weekends are the most valuable time I have, and the last thing I want to be doing is taking pictures of video games and shipping stuff out and dealing with buyers complaining about nothing.
Just the worst.
Also, I ship stuff really well, I think. I buy new bubble wrap, I buy new boxes. I don't, like, reuse Amazon boxes. I don't want anyone to, like, get, like, a bullshit crushed box from me. So, I think it's more expensive for me to do that too. And then I only end up charging like the actual shipping price. So yeah, you should go buy stuff from me, because I spent $1.20 on that box for you, and I'm putting $1.50 worth of bubble wrap in there. I'm losing $3 on every sale, Johnny.
Look, I would love to be the guy buying from you, but also I should be the guy not buying anything else. I should be the guy selling it all and putting it in the S&P 500.
And put it in the S&P 500.
Yeah. All right. Tyler, you're buying games. You love games, right?
They're all right.
I know this about you. But what should you buy, Tyler? Should you only buy games that you like, or should you be buying games that are also just like collectible? Like, I know this is collectible. Should I put this on my shelf, or should you be limiting it?
I buy both. Johnny, the only reason I have Earthbound, and I think I spent like $1,800 on my Earthbound, which very substantial, like one of the more expensive games I've ever purchased, and I literally just bought it for the meme. Because I think it's cool to have a big box Earthbound on your shelf, even if I don't personally really care about Earthbound. Like, the majority of stuff I'm buying is because I personally think it's cool, but I'm not going to lie and say, like, I don't buy any of the cool collector-y games.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't... I mean, if I was
I agree with
choosing
that.
between the two, I'm going to go personal every time, because not only is it cheaper, it is the stuff I care about more.
Yeah. All right.
Also,
100% agree.
if you get into buying what is cool, you are essentially letting someone else tell you what's cool in a hobby that's already really small. And I feel like just like if you went on Instagram every day, if you had a whole Instagram account that was dedicated to nothing but movie tickets, and you were called like the movie ticket collector guy, and you were like posting, you're doing all the right hashtags, you had excellent photography, you could like single-handedly make movie tickets cooler to collect, because that's how small the hobby is. And I realize the hobby isn't like 20 guys in a room, but it's also not Pokemon. So,
welcome to my 2025 goals, Tyler. You just described that, except I'm going to YouTube. Now that I've made YouTube partner, I got to go hard.
So your personal thing that you think is cool to collect would be cool if you showed people why it matters. If it's more than just like, oh, this is my childhood game that they had installed in my second grade classroom computer.
Also, but those are the YouTube channels I want. I want the person who went crazy on something and was like, well, show me why it's cool, because you're passionate about it. That's exciting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that stuff it's more interesting to learn about, because everyone knows what Earthbound is. Like, yeah, all right, you see the Earthbound and you're like, oh, it's Earthbound, that's the game. Whereas if you see Cosmology of Kyoto, it's like, Johnny, what is that? Why is that so high on your shelf? What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's me every October. You know what it's like, Tyler. I'm like, oh yeah, baby, here we go. Time to talk about a bunch of shit you don't care about. I mean, not you specifically, but most people. I'm like, but I love all this. I'm like, I'm not buying it for the value. You know, I buy all this shit because I love it. All right.
I think the most fun stuff to collect is stuff that's rare that only you care about. Because if it's stuff that's rare that other people care about, it's a pain in the ass to find, and a lot of people are just like buying it to flip it, to speculate, things like that. But man, when you could find like that big box PC game, that specific variant of Putt Putt Goes to the Moon, that's a bad example because people do care about Putt Putt, but pretend you're the only one who played Putt Putt Goes to the Moon, and it finally comes up and you could get it for like $45, that is the best feeling. And who cares that no one's going to know what it is? You got it and you did the thing, and it feels just as good as like buy now something for $300.
Absolutely. Tyler.
Yo.
When is it worth doing the speculation thing and buying a game to have it graded?
When is it worth it? Man.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know.
Is
if
it
you're
ever?
not like in the game, there's a guy in the Get the Greg Discord who bought, I think it was like 3 games from Japan. It was like a Mother 2, a Final Fantasy 6, and I don't remember the other one. And like 2 out of the 3 were opened, and he bought them as new, and he basically got scammed from Japan. And like, you could buy sealed games and they'll come and they'll have like rips or they'll get damaged in the mail. It's just like, it's such a hassle that I don't know when it's worth speculating on.
When is it worth it? Like, is it like if you just find a good sealed game, is that like, oh man, it's sealed, like you're in person, you can pick it up and take it home and you're like, God, this looks like it's going to be a 9.6 at least. Should I pick up this game? It's the rare variant.
Here's going to be my real answer.
Expensive.
I think if you are genuinely in it for like the fun of it, and you are going to try to manipulate the market, which I mean, I'm saying this in a genuine sense. If you're going to buy out a game or you're going to speculate on something, if you are just going to buy it and put it on your shelf, you literally might as well buy like cryptocurrency, because it would be so much easier to buy and sell that and just hope the line goes up. And like, there's no risk. I mean, there's risk. There's no risk of like your house burning down and you losing, your dog, your Shiba Inu coin. So unless you were like actually doing the thing and trying to manipulate the market and posting on Instagram and trying to hype it up and going in the Facebook group and telling everyone like, you don't understand, this Zarutha PS2 movie ticket is actually one of the coolest things on PS2. It deserves to be $500. I don't think like, from a pure monetary sense, I don't think it's worth speculating in physical collectibles unless you are, kind of putting in the footwork. Or like you legitimately find that aspect of it fun. Are you still with me, by the way?
Yeah, I'm still with you.
Okay. There is a great book that is half meme and half reality. It's the Harry Rinker book, How to Make the Most of Your Investments in the Antiques and Collectible Trade. I think the book was written in the 80s, and it is astoundingly prescient of what happened to video games in 2019. It is like how to corner the market, how to create hype. It's talking about like how to do this via newspaper ads and things like that, like how to manipulate the market and create hype around the things that you own and when to sell into the hype. And you're like looking at this and like, this is talking about newspapers, and like this is talking about it on the order of weeks and months, but this is the exact thing that happened in the video game market over like days and weeks, because social media just sped the whole process up. It is really an incredible book. I am not someone who is trying to manipulate them. I will tell you, I'm not here trying to like push investments on you. I just, the monetary side of video games is not the cool part to me. Owning the video game is a much cooler thing to me. But then I also think there's Reddit pushback on the concept of speculating on video games. Like if they see any sealed video game, they're just like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. You can't even play it. And they don't understand that the speculation, just like the gambling aspect of speculation, is the fun part to some people. Like, it's literally the same as sports gambling. They just want to see if the line goes up or down. And that is genuinely fun, regardless of whether you could play the video game.
This is true.
So I think you've got to you got to be in it for the love of the game. That's the way I'll simplify that.
So, yeah, I mean, there is as someone who doesn't do graded and sealed games, yes, that is a major component. And I think a lot of people are incredibly absent from the idea that there are a group of people who don't care about games. They care about the high of the value and if they've hit it or not. It's the same as a scratcher to them. It's just a different mentality. Yeah, and if you don't have it, you will never understand it.
It took me a minute to understand it until, like, I like the idea of gambling. Don't gamble. I'm not like a gambling addict. But, I'll throw $100 in a slot machine and lose it.
You will.
Like, once every 2 years.
It made me feel so queasy.
But, like, gambling is a 100% lose scenario. Like, if you gamble on sports enough, you just lose money over time. If you go to the casino, you just lose money. You never win in the long term. It's actually impossible. Where in collectibles, if you theoretically make the right buys and sells, it's still gambling, but you could win. And I think that makes it's like a more exciting version of gambling. Because there's no house. The house is like everybody else.
It makes it look more like the stock market. You're like, if I'm smart and I am knowledgeable, I will make my line move up. Exactly. And other people's line will move down. And that's really the game they're playing. You think like, why didn't they buy this game to play it? They are playing a game, but it has nothing to do with the game they just bought.
I think the problem is when people are like, the stock market is a scam. My entire retirement is in sealed video games. That's when it's like, no, maybe this is a problem. And this is more gambling than you're realizing it is.
Yes. Yeah. If you can't afford to do both, be careful. Again, for me, money spent on video games is always money I can afford to lose. And that's a fine idea to take. And I just want to say, Tyler, like on this, like when is too much? When is it too much? At some point, though, you will get to a place where, yeah, I can just afford to like put money. I'm not losing anything by just owning this game. I can afford to lose this money, but that accumulates. And that is a thing that you fail to realize until the day you do realize it. You're like, oh, yeah, I could, all of a sudden you've got, maybe $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 suddenly worth of games. And you're like, okay, well now this is kind of a lot of money and it's kind of too much stuff. So what do I do with this? How do I manage this situation? So be very careful, or you may find yourself in a little corner and being like, I have too many games. Yeah, every time I bought it, it wasn't money that like needed to pay my bills or was going to affect my life. But at some point, you did the thing too many times, and now you have a small little dragon's hoard of video games, and yeah, you got to figure something out about that.
Hey, if you have ever not told your spouse how much you spent on that thing that just came in the mail, you might have too many video games. That might be the point where it's too much.
Yeah. And if your excuse is, well, she just wouldn't understand because she's not like in the hobby, she just doesn't know. That's actually a very good barometer for if what you're doing is reasonable. If you can't explain to a normal person why the thing you just bought was a good idea, then maybe it wasn't. Okay? It's not like, oh, well, you spent $20 on a game and they just don't like games, so they will never agree with that. If you explain it to them as, well, I just bought this thing and it was $1,000, and don't worry, hun, it'll be $2,000 later. If she doesn't understand that, it's like, whatever. But if she can be made to understand that, but if you're like, oh, well, it could be worth something because I might get it graded, or it might be worth nothing, or I could lose all of my money on this because I rung it up on credit cards. Like, just consider the kind of conversation you would have to make somebody understand. Like, I think that's a better way to put it. Consider the conversation you would have to make someone understand if what you did was a good purchase or not.
I think, I know we're going back to like an older thing. I think it's worth considering if you would ever consider your collection like enough, because I think at some point we all came in and we probably had some kind of lofty goal to start with video game collecting. So mine, I wanted a loose NES set. And it took me a very long time to do that. I started collecting in like 2005. I think I completed my NES set in like 2017, maybe. So I was like 12 years, and I finally did the thing. But like at that point, like it wasn't enough. Like I did the thing, it's like, whew, all right, on to the next thing. And like if you just say, all right, on to the next thing after you complete every single one of your goals, like it will literally never be enough, and you are just the dragon with his hoard of everything. Like that inevitably will lead to a situation where you have too many games. Shout out to everyone that we know and talk to who is just like, oh yeah, I collect all the sets and I'm gonna get more. Shut up, Tyler. We're set collectors, damn it. This is what we do.
Is this a good time to do our Patreon advertisement?
Sure.
Hey, patrons. Yeah. Talking to you guys. Hey, if you feel like this, if this was really resonating with you on why you would like to have a dragon sword, and you want to talk to other people who have the same mindset and will definitely understand all of your purchases and be like, that's a good deal, and like you did a good job there, and like give you that dopamine that you so desire that your spouse definitely or partner isn't giving you. Hey, I've got a place for you. It is our Discord, which you can get to by joining our Patreon for $4. And then you get some After Dark episodes, but really what you get is access to our Discord to talk to all these other dragons who understand your hoard and your problems. So come and be amongst other dragons. That's patreon.com/collectorsquest. Okay, back to the show, Tyler.
Galdius, I love seeing all your Brazilian sets because I've never seen anyone who has the same stuff as you. So keep buying all that stuff. I'm approving of your journey.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff out there. We have a guy on our Discord, Ruben, and I love seeing, he loves like Wii games, and he's from the UK, so he's always showing us like these weird UK Wii games I've never seen before, and I love that. So yeah, there's some good stuff out there. Galdius, like I love seeing stuff that we just don't have. So if you've got like a weird collection, I love that kind of stuff.
All right,
We
Johnny.
got good people on here.
I mean, we do have some good people and some terrible people. You know who you are. Figure it out.
Oh, Tyler and I agree that there's someone who is the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talk about you all the time. And it's there's an After Dark episode where we mentioned you by name, and now you're going to have to listen to all the After Darks to figure out who it is.
Yeah. And it wasn't this year.
This is not true, to be clear.
No,
don't think that we're
totally
mean,
joking.
spiteful people over here.
No, we are not. And if you have thought we've been mean or something, you have to consider whether we were actually joking. If we meant that in jest, even if you didn't get it, it was probably a joke. All right, Tyler.
Hey,
we're talking about buying stuff, so this is a favorite for you, and this is where I will probably have stronger opinions than you on this. When do you give a negative feedback, Tyler?
Never.
Why?
Never.
Never?
Because
never,
negative
ever?
feedback. All right, so I think...
Hold on. Consider all of the things and all the hard work you do. You should be rewarded. Also, eBay's feedback system is stupid and worthless. That's a whole thing I can rant about. But you do so much work, Tyler. You're doing the best for collectors. You know what collectors are. You're shipping to your people. Why are we letting people get away with it?
I'll let you return for any reason. I'll let you cancel an order. I won't give you shit for anything. Yes. Because negative feedback is it's an invitation into a dialogue where I get to fight with someone. And that's literally never what I'm looking for. It's going to be more work, whether it's the mental work of fighting with a person, or if it means that there's going to be returns and whatever. Then just another trip to the fucking post office kind of deal. I'm never leaving negative feedback. And I think in other countries, the culture is different, because at least I know in like rating restaurants in Japan or something, it is completely normal to give something like 2 or 3 stars. That is not like the US where it's 5 stars or bust when you're rating something on Google Maps. But
isn't it? I thought it was really rude in Japan if you give a bad review.
As far as I understand their version of like the Google Maps ratings, like nothing has 5 stars.
Oh.
Everything you see here is like, 4.7 stars for a good thing. You can have like a 3.5 star thing over in Japan, and it'll be
maybe
good.
That's in restaurants while you're eating. You have to like say good.
Oh,
things
you have to
about
like
the
pretend
meal,
it's
even if you
good.
did.
Yeah, I think that might be a thing. But then I think they're actually really critical when it comes to their online reviews.
Well, and that's a thing I think people don't understand. And this is, not to get into my home life too much, but this is like a thing that over the years I've had to explain to my wife, is just because I am critical about a thing does not mean I'm necessarily like, I'm not mad about it necessarily. I'm just a critical person. I just like to look at things and then think, oh, could this have been better? Like where do we go from here? And being critical is not necessarily like, and having critiques isn't always a negative, isn't always the worst thing. Doesn't mean you hated a thing. Doesn't mean it wasn't enjoyable just because you can find something to critique about it. Just because that's the mental exercise I do with most things. That's how my brain is wired.
Johnny, here's the problem. It's that we turn everything into this rating system, whether it's 1 to 10, 1 to 5 stars, or thumbs up, thumbs down on eBay. And it makes everything too black and white. If everything was neutral feedback, you didn't have to give a thumbs up or thumbs down. I would give feedback like, hey, the seller jammed 2 big box PC games into a flat rate box and they both got crushed as a result. And I would have no problem leaving that feedback. But because the numbers are so important, like I know someone will get pissed off if they go from 100% to 99.7%, because 100% eBay feedback is important, because it's so rare that people give negative feedback that I don't want to like start a fight with someone over ruining their feedback rating.
But who cares? Feedback and forget it. You don't have to ever talk to them again. Let's say you're not going to return it. You're just mad.
No, I don't want to think about it. Johnny, I'm trying to think of the last time I left negative feedback, and it might be for my wedding DJ, who was so bad that like he did, like basically I didn't have music walking down the aisle because it was just an entire static, like it was entirely static, like completely fucked up.
Yes, I remember.
Only time, and like, you want to talk about people who really care about their feedback, is fucking wedding DJs. They were offering me like hundreds of dollars to remove my I and stuff like that. And I just kept, I have fucking integrity here. But that's the last time I left negative feedback, and I like wasn't willing to engage with the person afterwards. But because I don't want to, like, these PC games that got crushed that I got relatively recently, they're like, it's like a little bit of damage. Like, they're not valuable games. I'm not going to bother returning them. And like the seller is basically going to say, if you return them, I'll just, I'll give you a refund. Like, potentially they would say that. And it's like, yeah, I just don't want to deal with the hassle to return them, because it's just like not worth it to me anymore.
Yeah. So depending on the situation, I'm ruthless with my negative feedbacks. I don't care. If I had a negative experience, I'm giving you a negative feedback. There's no excuse for it. Like, if you charged me $8 or $10 for shipping and then you shipped it in a bubble mailer, nah, dog, we ain't talking about that. I didn't buy this shit to have it damaged. Okay. And I'm tired of people not knowing about parcel rate. Like, if you ship that shit in a bubble mailer, it's still fucking going parcel rate. So knock it the fuck off. Just knock it off. Just put it in the box. Okay.
No, but then I gotta get void fill, I gotta get bubble wrap, I gotta get different size boxes. Let's just jam that shit in a bubble mailer, baby.
Look, you are more likely to successfully get a package to me that I will find acceptable if you put it in a box with no fill than if you put it in a bubble mailer.
No, it's crazy. DVD-sized bubble mailers are too small to safely ship DVDs.
Yeah,
like, I would rather you put it in like an 8.5 by 11 bubble mailer. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, they
it's
always
terrible.
get crushed. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, and you could just it will fit in the small priority box a DVD will. So like, yeah, you have to manipulate it a little bit, but it'll go in there. No, just like a DVD game will fit in there. Just like ship it in that.
No.
I'm so tired of bubble mailers. If you felt like, if it looks like you were just the laziest person, especially if you charge any premium on shipping, if I know what the shipping is, if everyone else has this game and you're like, oh, I'm charging extra money for shipping, I'm assuming you're doing extra then. Like, if everyone else has that shipping rate and it looks normal and yours is a little higher, and then you do a lazy bad job and you charged me more, nah, dog, we ain't doing that. Okay.
Right, or we got a 8x6x4 box. That's a really nice size for small stuff that would be first class, like less than a pound, except first class doesn't exist anymore, so forget that. I think 18x12x8 is the biggest size, or like the biggest reasonable and cheap and common size that will be under a cubic foot, which is a huge price break for USPS. So just go buy 50 18x12x8 boxes and ship everything in those. It's like $1. What is it in bulk? It's like $1 or $2 for a box. Just get them.
Get the online, or don't pay for the boxes. Use the small flat rate priority boxes if you're just shipping DVD games. And it's like, okay, think about the money you're saving not buying the box and just ship it in those. And then your customer gets it faster, and then you look like a genius. Hey, a thing I learned in one of our videos from our Patreons, the extra 4-digit code that you put at the end of your zip code? Do you know if you put that on there, your packages arrive faster?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
although I ship stuff at work and it always makes me add the code. It'll like automatically be, are you sure you didn't want to add the code? So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyways, there's a whole video on like how postal codes are determined and stuff and globally, and I watched all of it. I think it was like 30 minutes, and I was fascinated the whole time because that's the type of person I am.
All right, Johnny, counterpoint to your bullshit that's wrong.
No, it's not wrong. Why are you letting people off the hook? If
you're not fight so back, the problem is
they never learn, Tyler.
No,
they think I did a good job. If you don't give them critical feedback, how will they ever get better?
The games that I got, the PC games I got crushed, came in a flat rate USPS box from someone who didn't want to buy boxes. And the reason they were crushed is because they jammed 2 games that were like exactly the width of the box because it was the box they had. I've got like 7 different box sizes I use depending on like what size thing I'm shipping to you. So everything you get from me has enough room for the bubble wrap and void fill around it. So it has 2 layers of cushioning around it. And when you get into the mindset of everything has to ship in a small flat rate box or everything has to ship in a medium flat rate box, you just start jamming shit in there, even when it's like a marginal fit.
I already said you don't need to be lazy. Like, don't be lazy. I already said I'm going to punish you if you're lazy.
The eBay sellers are fucking lazy.
Then punish them with negative feedback. If your shit comes busted up, I didn't pay for a busted up game. The pact between us is you showed me something. I said, I would like to buy that. Now, if it's not your fault, if the box gets run over by a truck, which I have had happen, I've shown you pictures of shit that has gone wildly wrong. Like, I'm not mad at the seller. I'm like, well, okay, well, let's figure out like how to make this work between us. But if it became damaged because you were lazy and you could have done a better job, then I'm mad at you. That's your fault. We had a pact. You said, I will do my best to ship this to you. And I said, excellent, because I'm going to give you my money for that. I'm going to pay you for that. And I will send you a message that explains what my need is. My need is for this to arrive in the condition you have shown me, okay? I'm a weirdo and I'm critical. I'm telling you up front, please, I don't want to have a second conversation with you because I will fuck up your feedback. I will fuck it up without hesitation.
I appreciate it.
So please don't make me do this.
I every time I buy something on eBay, I go through all of the negative feedback to see if someone mentions them shipping in a bubble mailer. Because I'll just like ignore you. If you ship anything in a bubble mailer and someone leaves feedback about it, I'll just be like, I'll wait for the next one. If you are selling stuff on eBay, you better be putting that you are shipping in a cardboard box with bubble wrap. Say that you are a collector. You're listening to this podcast. You are a collector. Tell me you are a collector in your eBay listings because I definitely pay a premium for that.
Oh, 100%. If you tell me, like, if in your auction, you're like, I'm a collector, I will ship this in a box for you. It will arrive how it is. If you put that line, I'm paying you more money because I don't want to deal with it. It's worth a little extra to me not to deal with this fucking hassle.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not mad about it. I will pay you the extra you're asking because you know what's up and I don't want to deal with it.
Right, everything on eBay is a big hassle, and this is why we get back to the thing where, like, if you could buy something for $100 and flip it for potentially $200, would you? And it's like, I hate everything about eBay. This is why the answer is not an immediate snap yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm capped in negative feedback if you are not doing, like, if you did this to me because you were lazy or greedy or whatever it was. Like, man, if you make too much money off your shipping, like if you've got a game and you just like put an absorbent amount of shipping on it, but it's like the thing I really want, I'm just like, why'd you make the shipping $40? And then I can see that you just put it in a flat rate box and it, like, I know it shipped for $13. It's like, okay, what was that $7 for? And then what is this? Or more, like if I see you gouge me on that, I will, like, sometimes I'll leave a neutral and be like, they gouge on shipping and you should all know about this. Or I'll just neg them and be like, this, like, they did a good job shipping, except that they will gouge you on shipping. I'm like, whatever it is.
This is stressing me
out. I will
out.
fuck up your feedback. I will fuck you up.
You agreed
Tyler.
to the shipping. You agreed to it.
Yeah, I agreed. But you're an asshole for doing that. You're not supposed to make money that way. Just make your game more expensive. Like, you're not pulling a fast one. Like, that's the thing. The person thinks they're getting away with something like, oh, I lowered the price a little bit, but I jacked up my shipping. Fuck you. Fuck you for that. Just put the price where
you're acting like a car dealership at that point, where it's like, oh, it's $10,000 plus $4,000 of dealer add-ons.
Exactly.
You can't remove them.
That's your mentality, and fuck you for it. I'm not here for it. We ain't doing this. Fuck you. Here's some negative feedback. I've used the F-bomb a lot. You're going to have to caution people. I'm riled up. This Anthony Davis trade has got me all out of sorts.
I'm pretty sure people know what to expect on the Collector's Quest podcast at this point.
I feel.
By the way, that's the
like
Collector's Quest podcast, not the Collector's Quest YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, the guy who definitely took our thing, and like, I've messaged him and he has not messaged me back.
Yeah. There's also a Collector's Quest eBay store. Is that you?
No.
This guy sells belts. Man, we picked such a generic name, but I think we had it before all these other guys.
Everybody, yes. Our name was long standing before them. Our name is like a decade old.
This is not fair. There's also Collector's Quest, like
That video thing
Pokemon
out
store.
Of, like,
have you seen this? 2024, they popped up. Like, come on, guys. We know we've got some cool alliteration, but do a Google before you name your thing.
yeah. They're just like, these guys aren't using it. The guy also has an Instagram too. And I'm just like, so he mushed it together. So we saw there was an Instagram of it taken. And he just like, was like, well, maybe I'll just mush it together. Then I'll be the Collector's Quest. And I'm just like,
all right, I mean,
oh my dude.
I don't appreciate it, but at least the Collector's Quest Pokemon thing is like a different hobby.
Yeah. Like, you are a video game guy. Are you telling me you didn't do a search and we didn't pop up? I mean, I'm not trying to pat our own back too much, but we do have some search results if you Google us.
I'm gonna name my new Instagram account Nintendo Quest.
Oh, good.
We're gonna take it back because the name has been smeared, and we're gonna make Nintendo Quest something good again.
And Nintendo Quest. Well, let's get all the quests. What happens when we take over the LJN podcast? We're gonna buy them out too.
Don't they know that LJN is a company? You can't name your podcast the LJN podcast.
So, yeah, we're going to keep them as a sub-brand, but we're going to become the Collector's Quest Network, CQN. And we're going to have an umbrella of lots of different collectibles. They don't know this yet. Sorry, Mike and Jay, we're buying you.
Is this a merchandising opportunity too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are we going to take a cut of their Patreon?
I mean, maybe. Who knows? Probably not. We'll allow them to operate as independent proprietors. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to steal lots of other little shows too. We're just every little video game podcast. We're going to become, like I said, network. That's how you get big, right? You get just big enough to start swallowing up other things, and then you just take them and make them part of your thing. I think that's the American way. This is a joke, people. By the way, this is not actually happening.
No, this sounds good. I'm in.
Yeah, Tyler's in. I'll let Mike and Jay know. You work for us now. They probably lose money with all their production value. They have an editor, Tyler. I think they paid.
They have a fucking editor?
Yeah.
Damn. And they've got like video and like live callers.
I know.
That's a lot of work, guys. Like, get out of here. Like, it's enough work. It's enough work, like sitting down to record for 3 hours a week, and they also have a very long show.
Yeah. Anyways, again, you can find me on the LJN podcast in the last episode where we talked about Metroid Prime, and yeah, people were not happy with my appearance. I am not invited back. Sorry, Tyler. I may have burned that bridge for us.
No, it's fine. They'll have me back. Didn't you give Metroid Prime a 5 out of 5?
I did. Of course I did.
Yeah, you're all set. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Jay, with a 1.5 out of 5 for Metroid Prime, we're getting off track. Johnny, you want to tell us about another dilemma?
Yeah, Tyler. So along the same lines, even harder, because it's a lot easier for me to give a negative feedback, but when do you return it? When is the return the thing that happens?
Man, if you remember, I think maybe this is probably going back almost 5 years at this point. I returned a pair of like really nice the Zelda Game Boy Color game, Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons.
Yes,
that is how long it's been since I returned something, I think.
Ooh. I don't do it very often. It's a weird moment, right? Like, because something messed up happens and you let them know. You're like, hey, man, what happened here? And they're like, oh, let me give you $20 or like $20 back. Or they think you're just like fishing for money back and you're like trying to squeeze them.
Yeah,
so
that's the thing. I don't
tension.
Want money back. I'm just annoyed that every day there are thousands of packages. Like, every video game is getting in worse condition over time. Everything that goes through the mail, so much of it is getting fucked up. It's not the money. It's like, oh my God, everything's getting ruined. It's just like, it's like thinking about like subscriptions and spyware. It's just like, oh, everything's getting worse over time. It's like video game condition. Everything's getting worse over time. I don't care about the $20. I care that you have ruined this video game.
Yep. Sometimes they're like, oh, well, if I give you some money back, is it like worth it? You're like, yeah, I guess it's worth that price in this condition. But the only time that I'm keeping it is if it is a thing that is very hard to find, or my opportunity to get it isn't going to come around again, and I cannot guarantee the condition of the next one that comes along. That's it. Because most time I used to like people are like, oh, just return it. It's not a big deal. It's like, but it is. Like, that's the other thing. If you don't value your time, that seems like not a big deal, but my time is worth something to me. I don't want to have to communicate with you. I don't want to have to talk to you about it. I don't want to have to go back to the post office. I don't want to have to jump through all these hoops because you messed up or it got messed up. And it's usually because they messed up.
Yeah. 100% agree.
Okay.
I hate it.
I got another dilemma for you.
I love it.
I think this is my last one. I think this is my last one.
That means it's our last one, which is fine because we're heading towards the 2.5 hour mark.
Oh my God. Okay. So Tyler, you see an item you want. It's pretty common. And it's like a buy it now. Like you can buy it now, or you can just click watch. Do you wait? Do you wait for them to maybe send you that offer? Because now, if you watch something or put it in your cart, like a lot of times they'll send you an offer for a little money off. You just snap it off and buy it. Like if it's a fair deal, like it's not rare. If it's rare, we know what to do, right? You can either gamble with in that way, but this is not that scenario. It's like something you can pretty much get. You think you see one with a fair price. You click into your cart and then waiting to see, you giving it 24 hours to see if they send you an offer, or are you just snapping it off?
If it's a price I'm just willing to pay, I would just buy it. Because it's something I want. Like we're going back to, I'm only buying the stuff at the top of my want list. Yeah, I watch stuff and hope to get the deal. So here's the thing. If I don't care about something enough that I'm willing to watch it and wait for the deal, so frequently I do get the deal. And then I decide I'm not really into it enough that I even want to buy it. So usually if I'm willing to just watch it, I'm probably willing to just not buy it. And I'm so much more picky about the games I'm buying these days that I'll set something and watch it and then I just won't buy it. So generally, if it's the thing I want, I'll just buy it now.
And I'm assuming the same kind of applies to best offers, because that's the next version of this question. It's feel the same way about best offers, or are you gambling more often on best offers?
If it is rare and important to me enough to send a best offer, I will tell you to send the best offer for me.
Yeah, and I will, and I have done so.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, I want to just give you a stat. I'm more aggressive with that. I everything goes into my cart or into my watch list, and then I wait to see if you send me an offer. And if you don't, then I'll think about it 24 hours later. That's kind of my, all right, remove it from my cart, remove it from my want list. I didn't really want it. Or buy it because I did want it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My last 8 purchases, Tyler, if you look at them, in my feedback, they all have the line through the price.
Look at how good you are.
So that's how I am. And out of 8, let's see, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Out of my last 15, 10 of them have the line through it. I was also buying movie ticket games. So it was pretty much more common, bulky stuff. So.
That makes sense. Yeah. But, I'm so much more of a just wait for it to come up at all. And then it's a race to buy it now when it hits my save search in the morning. Man, so frequently, I see something cool come up. And by the time I hit it at 9 a.m., it's already gone.
Man, when I've got those morning meetings and I know I'm not going to get to look and I'm like, oh my God, that was a great deal. And then you're just disappointment. Oh, I missed it.
But then the other thing I want, I love a no reserve auction because I'll just go crazy because I love getting things for the exact market price. So I'm well, if I just bid $500, I guess I'm getting it at the market price because I'll just bid whatever's more than the person under me. That's dangerous. Maybe don't do that every time, but maybe I do that sometimes.
Maybe you do. We don't know. Maybe we'll find out. All right. Those were my last questions. You got any further you want to follow up on? Any other dilemmas? Let us know other dilemmas that we missed. Go ahead and put it in the comments. There's not a comment section, but do let us know. If you're on the Patreon, when this episode comes up, if you hear it and we forgot a big dilemma or other dilemmas you faced, let me know. Cause I love hearing this kind of stuff. I love thinking about the process of collecting and how we make our decisions, what our decision trees look like.
Why did we decide to collect video games instead of Fortnite trading
Fucking
cards?
we were so stupid.
I mean, come on.
God, we were so.
What do you think those Fortnite cards? What's the rarest Fortnite card? This is a check. We're not going to check on Elephant Mario today. We're going to check on the rarest Fortnite trading card.
I don't know anything about Fortnite trading cards. Is it Banana Man or a
I don't think it's Banana Man. I think it's the Black Knight. But hold on. Oh my god, this list was updated in 2025. Damn, Fortnite cards still on top of the hobby that everyone's talking about. Fortnite trading cards.
Didn't even know they had trading cards.
Yep, it's Black Knight. Usage in game 0.5 out of 10. No, 0.4 out of 10. But it is the number one most collectible card.
How much is it?
I'm looking. PSA 7 has a $600 buy it now. Let me go to the sold listings. I'm gonna guess it's like $2,000. Yeah, $2,000 PSA 10 or $500 in a PSA 9. 300 in a PSA 8. Man, if this was like video games, if like a video game was $2,000 and you could get it in PSA 8, like still very good condition for $1,700 less, God, video game collecting would be so easy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, every video game on like a trading card scale is like a PSA 2. Like every video game has enough wear that it would be considered like pretty bad.
Do you want to hear about Elephant Mario?
Is it $600 still?
The last one sold on January 3rd. Buy it now or best offer of $475. That's pretty good.
One sold on January 30th for $600.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, there's a 651 too. Sorry, I had my sort wrong.
It's okay. eBay fucked you.
650. Yeah. Dilemma. What do you do if eBay sucks? Don't know. Yeah, between 650 and 500 is still the price for a Mario. But people, the ones that are available, people are asking more, but those are just sitting, so don't get tricked. However, you want a 1987 Naga Tian phone card, Super Mario Brothers PSA 8 for like $21? Because that's available.
That's it. That's what I want.
Okay, well, there's also a PSA 8 from 1987 as well. A little bit different. That one went for $11.50. PSA graded. Can you imagine selling a PSA graded anything for $11?
I can imagine that because perhaps I got my Secret Santa a PSA graded Pikachu card and I sorted by like, what is the coolest looking card that I can get for like $15?
Yeah, I want to do that for my son. Just get him like one graded card. So I'm like, look, you got this bad boy in a slab. Like, what's the cheapest like 10 I can buy him? So he has like a dumb Pokemon 10.
Would he even care? Like, you could probably get him like one of those nice magnetic not top loaders, but like the magnetic cases, and he would probably think it's just as cool.
I mean, yeah, he would, but I like the idea of him just being like I just like the idea in like 10 years of him being like a little bit older and being like, what the fuck did my dad, what did he get me this for? I just think that's very funny because he's got a little collector brain. We go through a whole ritual with his cards. When he opens his cards, like what we have to do, we have to go put them in his box. We take the foil ones and we put them they're in a separate section, right? His foil uncommons, his reverse hollows, his rare goes in a different section. If it's a good one, it goes in a sleeve and it goes in the binder. And I just love that he's like into the ritual of it.
I mean, that's how we all are with trading cards, right?
I mean, I would think so, but I don't know. So, all right. Stop typing into our Discord, Tyler. I know they're exciting people.
No, Johnny, I was looking for our next section.
Oh.
Who's winning this week? Show off your games in the Discord.
Is it Galdius again because he wins every week?
It's not. I think we have a clear winner. I'm just going to make subjective calls. I'm not going to say everything that everyone posted. Josh Gelb, though, he got one of these old library Dewey Decimal System shelves. It's like it's a big shelf with like 50 drawers in it that you would like go through for like those Dewey Decimal cards. I'm sorry, if you're under 30, I don't know what to tell you. But we used to have to do this in libraries. and it is so fucking cool. And he's got like Game Boy cartridges and controllers and manuals sorted in this old giant chest of 50 drawers, and I love it so much. And he's got little labels on the front
nice
where like
labels.
It says Game Boy and stuff.
Yep, and he's got his little trash cans under. I'm gonna go with you on that. You can see like his stuff around it.
So fucking.
He's got his Majesco stuff on top. Yeah, I like this picture a lot. But also these library card sorters, like these things are a hot commodity. People in collecting cards, if you want to be bougie and collecting card, like your Magic collection or whatever, you get one of these and you have all of your cards sorted in these things. People think you're bougie.
Really? Where do you get one of these?
Yeah, like you
like
look
the church sale,
for, man.
Like who's gonna have like one of these?
They used to be a thing, and they're usually wood and heavy as shit. Like,
yeah,
come on,
they're nice.
Yeah. So,
I remember I was
cool.
in like 6th grade, and we had to learn how to look stuff up via the Dewey Decimal System in one of these. And I was just thinking, like, when in my life am I ever gonna do this? And that was the last time I ever did it in my entire life.
Yeah, now you're just like, go to computer, type in search.
Yep.
And then you went to eBay and you're like, just go to eBay, type in search. Oh.
All right, Johnny, a collector's question for this week. Let me find one. Kanakis asks, favorite genres today, but feel free to include any that are no longer your favorite.
Point and click.
It is not. It is fucking not, Johnny.
It is.
Point and click adventure games?
Yeah.
What was the last point and click adventure game you played?
Shadowgate, because I played it recently just for funsies.
All right. That's great. You like never talk about like LucasArts and Sierra stuff.
I like, well, here's something you will understand about. I like narrative games, and point and click adventures were kind of like the first, like, oh, here's just like, you don't need to do it. Like, you just play a story. I've talked about Shadowgate many times and how I like Deja Vu. Like, I didn't have a computer, so I didn't understand there was this whole genre. So I didn't even get into that until later.
I feel like
genres that aren't exist. Like, I also, I'm a big RPG guy, and I don't get into, like, you can say I pretty much don't play RPGs really anymore, except for ones I've like already dealt with in some fashion. Yeah.
I feel like you're not really getting a story in a point-and-click adventure game, because the bulk of that genre came out in the 80s and 90s, and the bulk of that genre is like testing 11 items in your inventory with everything on the screen because you can't figure out what the fuck to do.
Yeah, but like if you know, like then it makes like once you know what it is, like the items then make sense. It's telling you, I don't know, I think it tells a pretty good story. Like it's not great at telling stories, but that's like kind of the precursor for me. Like Maniac Mansion, when you like that game, it's got a point of view, and I like that. It's not all about like, oh, how good am I twitching? It's fun. Not that I didn't enjoy, like I enjoy competition games as well, because I like competition. But yeah, I like point and click. What's your answer?
And my answer is super boring. It's probably just platformers.
Yeah. I was going to say RPGs, but yeah, it's like, I like platformers too.
If you're including both collecting and playing as like a total, like computer RPGs, I'm really into. I'm playing Might and Magic 6 right now. The other game I played this year was Bard's Tale, like the Bard's Tale. So I'm into computer RPGs as well.
Are you just hoping that like Jason Graves hears you talk about this stuff so you guys can one day meet and talk about stuff?
He's more into JRPGs, though. I feel like it's pretty different. He also plays like, this is like a dungeon crawler on the Super Nintendo, but I think we have different areas of interest. Well, not really, because they're both... I don't know. I guess maybe not. Yeah, I'll hang out with Jason Graves. If he's got a meetup at some convention, I'll shoot the shit.
Is it she? Is it she?
She? Jason
Did you
Graves?
say she? Well, I thought you said she has a meetup. I was like, is it
no,
she?
No,
is that?
I don't know. Oh. It's a he.
Okay. I was like, have I been wrong this whole time? I don't know. The world's a different place. I'm
Johnny,
an old man. I don't understand things.
I like some of those indie games where you gotta explore and it doesn't really tell you what to do, and it doesn't guide you on some rails. Some recent ones being like Outer Wilds and Return of the Obra Dinn. Games where I gotta figure stuff out for myself. And this kind of goes back to CRPGs, because I like games that don't map for you and I have to make my own map on graph paper. So my favorite thing a video game can do is make me think about things outside the game. And that's why I love like Myst and Riven, because I'm always writing stuff in a notebook. In Morrowind even, I'm usually writing stuff in a notebook to keep track of things. And I love keeping track of stuff outside of a game. I don't know. It makes me more immersed when I have to do that stuff.
So a thing that I kind of realize about what I like when a game makes me want to be in that world for whatever reason, even if it's a terrible world, like it makes me wish I was there for whatever it was for that game, that experience. I'm like enjoying experiencing it. Cause like I really enjoyed the new Indiana Jones game. I really enjoy like not all the Star Wars games, but the last like Jedi Survivor games and stuff. And that's not just, I'm like, oh, maybe it's like, oh, I like these kind of actiony games, but not always. That like Indiana Jones is more stealthy. And then, all these like point and click adventures and RPGs I like, it's usually like the world that it puts you in is the thing that I find myself really drawn to.
But this isn't every video game, but also every video game is like horrifically violent. Like if you were in the world of Indiana Jones, what are you doing? Killing dozens of people every day?
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's like, sometimes it's nice in point and click adventures. It's not all murder, but RPGs is all murder. It's all murder all the time. In fact, how good you murder and how effective, like how efficiently you murder directly impacts how good you are at the game.
Yeah.
So be the world's best murderer, play RPGs.
Johnny, follow-up question. What's the top game in each of your favorite genres?
I mean, like nostalgia or like what I actually think is the best.
What's the best? I've never played a point-and-click adventure game. What's the one that is like the masterpiece? And I don't need the Final Fantasy Mystic Quest introduction. What is just like the straight-up best one, even if it's super hard?
You're just making me have to understand like what best means, because I always want to say Shadowgate. Like I always go back. I play Shadowgate.
Right, I mean, if that's your favorite, that's the best.
Yeah, I just like original Shadowgate.
That's a cool ass game.
It's not. Yeah, like just lots of dumb shit happens to you in Shadowgate. I love it. Like I will just go die just to see the death scenes. It's wonderful.
I mean, you don't have to try. It will just kill you randomly. So
yeah, yeah. What a neat little game. And then like Final Fantasy 2 is like my nostalgia pick, though I think Final Fantasy 3 is technically a better game. I don't put Final Fantasy 7 above either of those. And I also like, Final Fantasy 1 is a game I just like that's comfort food completely for me.
I don't think I have any hot picks here, similar to you with your Final Fantasy games. Yeah. Super Mario 64 is the best platformer. Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind is the best CRPG, and the best kind of explorer game that doesn't tell you where to go is Cruelty Squad, even though it's a mashup of genres.
It's like in the action games, like I really still think Ninja Gaiden Black was like amazing. Loved playing that game and like feeling like my choices mattered and how good I was directly impacted like that game. It wasn't unfair. It was, a skill. Like
it's the when most you got fair. Good. It teaches you that all your other video games were not fair in your favor, and this is the first fair video game you're playing. Is what playing Ninja Gaiden for the first time feels like.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the new Star Wars game, and it's the sequel, but the first one as well, like Jedi Order and Survivor. Love those. Yeah, I don't know. That's hard. Like I've played the most. Like Diablo, I've played the most, but that's not what I would call best.
A good game? Yeah, you're right. It's Diablo 2.
Diablo 2 is pretty good, but like even that like I don't know. I'm mainly playing. It's like when I play Call of Duty, I'm like playing it with my friends or playing it for a reason. Like it's not like because this is the best thing or the best game.
I mean, there is a difference. I think there's a difference between like the best and the most addicting type deal.
Yeah.
because, you know, a game like Path of Exile, it might not be my favorite game, but if you told me like I had one game for a desert island forever, you know, it's going to be like Path of Exile or RuneScape or something that I could literally play forever because it's so addictive and stupid and it just releases the dopamine, but it doesn't mean it's good.
Have you tried PoE2 yet?
Nope. Also, not only because it is a trap, like it's an obvious mouse trap that I'm not going to stick my finger in, like I'm not stupid, but also it's going to be free to play at one point and it's $30 right now. So I might as well wait for it to be free to play. Because it's early access right now. It's going to be early access for like a year or two, and then I bet they're going to launch it and it's going to be free to play.
All right. You say so.
Johnny, I think that's it for collector's questions this week. Do you want to tell me what you bought and what you've played?
Sure, Tyler. I would love to tell you about all of the things that I've played. Hey, I played some Diablo. I played a little Indiana Jones. I played some Diablo. What did I buy, though, Tyler? Man, I can't wait to tell you about what I bought. Can I tell you how I had 3 auctions canceled on me this week?
That sucks.
Yeah. One of them
what are you
was
doing?
So I bought Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance with the Edema exclusive CD in it and like the little sticker on it. And the guy realized he sold it for under what market normally is and was like, oh, it was in a box that got damaged. I was like, can you show me the damage? Please show me the damage. He's like, yeah, it was crushed with some other things. I'm like, can you show it to me? Can you please show me? Can you show me a picture of the damage? So yeah, he got a negative feedback. Yeah, 100%, like negative feedback. Hey, I bought Disney Sing It Pop Hits without Taylor Swift on the cover.
Oh my god, I just learned about this. This is one of the best things in the Wii set.
Yeah, pretty cool, right? Yeah, pretty cool variant. I bought Nightmare Ned. Do you know what that game is?
I have no idea. It sounds like some crap Johnny would buy.
Yeah, it sure is. It's a Disney interactive game. Yeah, go look at Nightmare Ned. It's pretty cool. It's got a very cool art style. But yeah, it's a little like Disney horror game. And yeah, I bought it. It's a graphic adventure, Tyler, if you want to get into
PC
it.
game, to be clear. That's why you've never heard of it.
Yeah. Yes. And it's Disney. And it's because I'll just tell everyone now, I'd like next year, like for 1 week of Halloween, I'm going to do like, hey, spooky Disney games. These are like 5 to 7 Disney games, and I'll do my dumb Instagram videos and I will show you 5 to 7 Disney games that you could like be. And like, yeah, there's easy ones I could show, or I could get into the weeds. Like with Disney's 101 Dalmatians Escape from DeVille or Devil Manor, depending on how you are reading it, because they didn't do a separation between the words. So it's a little ambiguous, but you know, as it's Cruella DeVille in it. Anyways, that's a graphic adventure. It's a little spooky and you're like trapped in a manor and you gotta get out of there. So yeah, you solve puzzles, save the puppies. Come on. These are games I bought, Tyler. Oh, yeah, these are the ones that arrived. The other ones haven't arrived yet, so I won't talk about them. I think I bought some movie ticket games that I didn't mention last episode, but whatever.
Nightmare Ned's got a really nice art style. It's one of those adventure games, but it looks like you're actually playing the cartoon and just like everything is animated like it's in the cartoon.
It's a sweet game.
Man, they just like, it's just like an era. They put a lot of effort into some of these games. It reminds me of like the Neverhood, where like you're looking at the Neverhood, it's just like, I can't believe how much animation they put into this fucking game. Whereas like if you were, you know, if you were making like an older style adventure game these days, you would have like, oh, it's a simple walk cycle that we make and like an interact thing. And we just like try to reuse as much as possible. And you look at these games, it's like, man, every action has this bespoke animation. What is going on? So much effort into a game that no one would even know what it is if you asked them today.
No, and art style's a little bit Psychonauts looking too. Like it's neat. It's a neat looking game. I was happy to pick it up. It's been on my list for a little while, and one came up at a really nice price, so I grabbed it. It's not super expensive. It was like $35 or $37 plus shipping and everything. I think I paid less than $50 for it out the door.
All right. Pretty neat.
So, yep. What about you, Tyler? What have you bought and what have you played?
I'm playing Might and Magic 6. Johnny, my party's powerful enough to where I just click and everyone dies, but I still have to kind of go and beat the game. Very interestingly, it is the first game, I'll definitely say, like, dungeon crawler I've played in a long time. So I've got like a spell that shows me a portion of the map. And so it's almost like the Doom auto map where it'll like draw in a wireframe of the lines. So it'll be very obvious when like I get to like the corner of a room. I'll know there's a room there, but I don't know how to get to it. This is the first game I've played in a really long time where there are secret rooms on the map and I will just click everything and I can't figure out how to fucking get to them. And I actually have to like figure stuff out. And it's to the point where like I try everything. I click everything. I click all the walls. I click all the torches. I try to use spells and I just don't know how to get into the secret rooms. It has been so long since I played a game that actually has like puzzles that I can't figure out. Kind of interesting. But also I'm so powerful that like whatever's in those rooms doesn't fucking matter. So that is kind of the other side of that coin. Johnny, I got two things based on my watching investable heritage auctions, speculative investment live streams.
Have they arrived or is this forthcoming?
One has arrived and the other one I bought like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, maybe only talk about the one that arrived.
Well, no, because they're kind of from the same auction. So a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic VGA 85 sealed copy of the game sold for like a little over $800 in this recent PC auction they had. And like there's a bunch of games that are like low on my radar. I bought a bunch of like my favorite sealed game, like these $30 nothing games. And like Knights of the Old Republic on the PC, even the first print, is just like a game that's out there, a game that's not like exciting. And you'll have like people trying to hype it, being like, no, you don't understand, the first print's rare. It fucking comes up. So since that sold for $800, I literally just went on eBay and I'm like, I guess I'll buy this one for $60 now. It's just one of those situations.
Okay. So are you sure it came out on the PC first?
No, I don't care.
Okay.
It might not have. It's Knights of the Old Republic. Like, I'll buy the PC version if I can get it for a little less than a tenth of what one just sold for in like not mint shape. Like VGA 85 is like, it's okay.
Knights of the Old Republic is amazing. So yeah, good job.
And then in that same auction, I think I got the best deal of the entire auction. I got a sealed copy, graded sealed copy of Morrowind Collector's Edition for a little bit more than the Complete in Box price, because Complete in Box Morrowind Collector's Edition is a very collectible computer game. It's like $600. And I got a sealed one for like a little bit more than that. And I'm like, all right, I've been looking for a deal on a Complete in Box one, and this randomly came up. And all right, hey, I'll take it. It's like a top 10 game ever for me. So that's cool.
You did it. You did the thing, and it's a game you love, so that's cool.
It is a game I love. And I'm guessing, I bet there are sales of the Xbox version sealed that probably sold for a similar price, if not more. Oh my God. Yeah, they're sealed Xbox copies that have sold for over $2,000. Multiple Xbox copies have sold for $2,400 in 2022 at the peak of the market. Oh my God. $5,000. What is going on? 2021, July 2021. I realize that's like the most insane time of all video games. $5,520 for a 9.8 A plus. Not even A plus plus. It's not even perfect, and it sold for $5,500 on the Xbox. Have you played Morrowind on the Xbox? I've beaten Morrowind on Xbox, and I've beaten it multiple times on PC, and oh my God, it runs at like 10 frames a second. The load times are multiple minutes. It is crazy. The initial load, when you boot up Morrowind, especially late into a save file, it actually reboots the Xbox in the background because it needs to like free up memory before it can load the game. It's like a weird trick they did in software. because the game is just so big for the original Xbox. And it's not like a bad version, but it's like the Xbox version compared to the PC version. Guys.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely get the Xbox version, right? That's what you're saying?
I just don't think so. For me, I just don't think so.
Yeah,
I mean, I would get
so
both. Whatever. I love the game. I love both versions of the game.
Well, good news. You have the Xbox version, so you're all right.
I do. You know, I spent a little less than $5,000 for it. It might be missing a little bit of shrink wrap, but it was about $5,000 cheaper.
Probably a good deal at like the $8 you paid for it.
Especially since I'm not going to play it again, so it's just like a thing to look at and be like, oh yeah, Morrowind. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, Morrowind is $8. And I mean, I guess most people aren't playing the Xbox version these days, but don't RPGs usually hold their value?
I mean, not anymore. Because they keep remaking them, and it's just like, which version do I even have? RPGs used to hold more value because people were like, oh yeah, this is like, I'll be playing this forever, and it's going to be 100 hours. And like, now people are like, oh, they'll probably put it on some compilation and stuff. So it's just,
yeah, that's true.
Anyways.
Damn, those developers are ruining my,
it's on Steam for like $6, so who cares? I think players used to drive the market for RPG prices, and I don't think they do anymore.
There was definitely a time, I think I might have been on this podcast. Maybe it was a little bit before the podcast, but before I was on it. But I would have said, like, what are the genres that hold their value the best? And it would be RPGs and 2D shooters. And like, man, 2D shooters have been remade to death on the Switch. I don't even know if that's true anymore.
Is the Switch the best system for 2D shooters?
It's not. It's objectively not, because the Switch has 2 frames of input lag and the PlayStation has 1, and you can get PC to like 0. So objectively, the Switch is the worst platform if you're comparing to like PS4 even.
I mean, let's just say if you're talking about for sheer volume of titles.
Who cares? If it's a shooter, you need the low input lag.
Okay.
Like, I mean, you could say like, all right, like CEDs, the obscure video format. Like, if that had the most movies ever released for it, would you say like CED is the greatest format of video? That's a real exaggeration compared to Switch. I realize Switch is a fine console, but I'd rather have the one with better quality than the one with more volume, if I'm going to say the all-time best console for shooters.
Okay, that's fair. And that's it. You did the thing, Tyler. We did the thing. I did the thing. You did the thing. We've done the thing.
Yeah.
That's it for the show. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. And we appreciate all of you. That's it for the show, though. I don't think we made quite 3 hours, but we're probably pretty close. Bye!